What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. I am your host, Matthew McKim, and today we have a very special guest, a returning guest, Jon Aaron Bray. And Jon is an independent researcher and investigator who spent months examining the evidence surrounding the death of Charlie Kirk. Jon is best known for developing and defending the exploding mic theory, which challenges the official narrative, arguing that Charlie's fatal neck wound was not caused by a 1940s Mauser 30-06 round, but instead resulted from a catastrophic malfunction involving his Rode wireless microphone. Tonight, Jon will walk us through the evolution of his investigation, the evidence that led him to his conclusions, and answer any questions from supporters, skeptics, and critics alike. What up, Jon? How you doing, man?
How is it? Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you. And we were talking just before, backstage about a couple of things, because I went back and looked at because I had seen you on Trigger Smart, the two times you had been on Trigger Smart, but I had never gone back and watched you with Stu Peters, which I like Stu. He's a good speaker.
Yeah, Stu can sum it up into most hard hitting. It makes even the things that I know, it's like my subject matter, and he says it. I'm just like, I'm getting uncomfortable. It hits so hard. Yeah, Stu's the OG. I'll always I'll owe Stu for being the first one to reach out to me. He was the bravest one to take the leap and pick up the chain. And that's why I was hoping. That's the whole reason I even made the post. I was like, somebody, I don't want to be the ambassador to this. Somebody better with a better voice and a better reach can take this and get this out there. And he was the one. Stu's a champion of the truth.
Well, and he's on Rumble. So, I mean, that was probably the best place to do it first, honestly. Because kind of what we were just talking about, YouTube, believe it or not, is engaged in censoring content and content creators. So we were just talking about, I had seen, so Candace does her shout out to you last week, right? Last week you were on a work thing last week, and then Coach shows it and is like, and I'm watching his live and he's directing people to try to look you up. And they're like, does Jon have a YouTube channel? I was like, I don't know if he actually does. And then someone was like, something 1443 or something like that.
Yeah, and it was like an auto-generated name that I just never bothered to change. Because honestly, I thought my YouTube was just going to get hammered right away. I was like, yeah, they're going to just delete my whole channel.
You slid under the radar with it, though, without putting your full name, right?
For a while, yep.
And so, but it did have all your videos. And that's when I was like, I think this is yours. And then I messaged you. I was like, is this yours? They think it is. And you're like, yeah, that's mine. But then you're like, maybe I should change the name to match all my different accounts, right?
Yep.
And you didn't change any videos. You just made it your official handle, like on X and everything else. And what happened?
The 4 videos. It's like a video a day gets deleted. I'll probably wake up tomorrow. There'll be another video that's deleted. And some of it doesn't even make any sense. They show you the second marker on the video, and it'll just be a completely benign scene, like nothing going on. Yep. And it's always, violence or something like that. It's the same explanation each time. I have tried previously uploading videos and then try to kick it back to him, but I just realized that that's just a fool's game. They never bring it back.
No, every time I've appealed a decision when it comes to community guidelines, when you've broken one of the community guidelines, almost immediately it gets kicked back, denied.
Yeah. So I just save my time and my click, and I just let it die in the wind. Yep.
So you think it's benign thing. So what do you think there? And so obviously they left it up for months when it's under your old channel name. So it's not like that it was the content that actually broke the guideline. It seems that once you got more reach and your videos were getting more views, and then they realized it was you, that they were, what did you say to me backstage?
Yeah, it's the subject matter. It is the hardest hitting videos, the videos that are the most damning, like the best work that I put up there. They're the ones that they go and delete. The ones that are kind of a little harder, a little more subtle, that don't really hit to the truth as hard, they'll leave those. But when you really put the pieces together for people, those are the videos that they're going to go delete.
Because it really attacks, or kind of in a way destroys, the official narrative.
Right. It's details that they would rather not be seen. They
Yeah.
would rather people focus on something different than to revisit the details that we all witnessed, because it's very difficult to, go back and with the clarity of hindsight, look at everything we saw and everything that's happened since then, and it just gets real difficult to explain.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to start kind of like we had been doing this backstage, and I was asking you questions, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like really good. We need to do this in front of the audience." So my question was, first, who did you go on very first?
Stu
Okay.
reached out to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that was because you were doing stuff on X, correct?
Yeah, I kind of made like a long thread post on X where I just laid out kind of all the details that I thought at the time. I had the wrong microphone brand.
Okay.
I thought he had the necklace I misidentified as like a earpiece, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought at first, because the only videos available, the microphone class disappears. You see it like move in the trajectory where it would impact the neck, and then it folds over and you don't see it. But there's no way to know that it folded over on itself in the videos. The first 3 angles that were released, you couldn't see the microphone clasp. It wasn't until the UVU video released that you could see the microphone clasp. So, at that time, I was pretty sure that it was the clasp, mainly because of the trajectory and then the shape of the wound. The battery and the microphone clasp are almost the same exact size, and the wound is that same size.
Right.
And at that point, I already saw the angle of the battery falling out of his neck.
Yeah.
And so, I was pretty confident at that point that it was a rectangle object that caused a wound. And at that point, I didn't have the microphone to know that the battery was the exact same size as the magnetic clasp.
Right. And hindsight's 2020. It's very unfair for people to criticize you with all the information and all the videos that are out to date. Right. Like, we all need to transport ourselves back to September and realize that, like, before the UVU review video came out there was only a certain amount of videos from different angles. And they were all like, were they all phones at that time? Just different phones?
Yeah, they were phones. And even worse than that, they were like people ripping it off of like Twitter uploads and stuff. So it was like compression on compression on compression. Yeah. So it was like blurred out. The audio was garbage. You were working with a very low level of clarity off of those first videos. It wasn't until the original started to kind of surface that I was able to start to get like really honed in on the details. And then all my coding that I was making, it's only as good as the source that you're running. So as I started getting like 1080p versions of everything, the pixel mapping started getting real sharp, and that made it real difficult for me to ignore it.
Yeah. When you were on Stu, he's the one that said that he thought there was a round or projectile inside, right? You were saying that it was most likely the magnet.
Yeah, the magnetic clasp.
Yeah, the magnetic clasp.
Yeah, the basically the force of the explosion snapped the magnetic clasp loose, and it had just enough momentum to penetrate his neck. Yeah, basically that was the kind of thesis at first, and that was off me mapping the speed of the magnetic clasp from where it goes underneath his collarbone. Yeah, the last frame that we saw it. It took it like 3 frames to do that. That's like 300 feet per second. So it's just enough speed to penetrate the neck. But the battery is moving much faster than that. That's why we don't even see the battery. The circuit board and the battery had a lot more momentum than the magnetic clasp. The magnetic clasp is kind of like following behind everything. Because, the first thing that happens is the case blows open. And then the magnetic clasp and the board get thrown out.
Yes.
And the whole reason that the magnetic clasp and the remaining, the clip and the remaining body of the microphone even go that direction is because the PC board and the battery got hung up, and there's like a rubber spacer inside the microphone. So when the case blows open, it had to pull itself, and you could actually see the microphone twist where the battery is connected by a wire to the PC board. The PC board blows out, and then the battery snugged into like a little rubber spacer. And so when the PC board flew out, it pulled the battery behind it. And that's what causes the battery to, you see the magnetic clasp like make a 90-degree turn.
Does, it turns, yeah.
Yeah, and then it gets pulled behind it. And that's what that force is, that turning and the pulling is from the wire that connected the PC board to the battery. Yeah.
You know, it was interesting that I heard on Stu, but I don't know why, like this, it had like slipped my mind. And do you still have one of the mics with you? Or did you use them all for testing?
No, I got it right here.
Because so I've seen, and I thought you guys were wrong. In previous, I went back and watched like so many previous events of Charlie Kirk campus events, and the magnetic clasp, the magnet on the outside, when it was by itself on the outside, it was often like in different weird positions, and the shirt would be bunched up. But what I never saw was what you guys pointed out on Stu. And then when I looked at this image, I was like, you're right. It's on its edge.
Yeah.
It's like sticking out. I'd never like right here. Look, can you put it on your shirt and show them what it looks like?
Yeah.
This picture shows it.
It's
here,
basically, it's mounted on its side, like out like that.
Yes.
Really weird why they mount it like that. And you see him messing with it throughout the day, like, because it's uncomfortable. And the biggest thing is like to get this thing to fold over on itself. If it folds over on itself, it's like a honk.
Yes.
There's no way the case was intact and it folds over on itself, and you don't see a big giant 18-millimeter bulge sticking out of his shirt. You know, so just the fact that it was able to fold over on itself and hide that magnetic clasp after shows you that the body of the case was gone. The only thing that was holding the clasp was the clip.
Yes,
the clip and the magnet were left. The whole body of the case was gone after the event started. Yeah,
but this one right here really showed how it was put on its side.
Yeah,
you can even see this ruffle in the collar. That's what, like we just saw with you, because it raises that collar up.
Yeah,
because it's sticking out. But that was needed for this, like, what was it called? Like the standoff point?
Yeah, the standoff. So you see the depth of the case?
Yes.
They would need to put the charge in the back side of the case, so it has enough space between the tip of the charge and the case itself, so it can create a jet. It's kind of like a water hose. You know, if you look at the water hose when the water's coming out of it, it takes a second, like the beam version of the water hose, you know, the multi-faceted head.
Yeah,
you see it takes a little bit of distance for it to really focus in and get a stream
to the point.
To a point, and it's the same kind of phenomenon with that hot plasma jet coming off the shape charge. It has to have some distance in between the actual the nozzle of the charge and the point of impact. And for a shape charge that big, it's like 8 centimeters, and that happens to be just enough space. If they put it at the back side of the case and it was a 15-millimeter long shape charge, which is like that 10 millimeter in diameter, 15 millimeters long, that's like the go-to drone shape charge that's been developed. If you go and look at micro shape charge, just like that contract that was for the AES in Tennessee, it's all drone based technology, because they need it light and they need it powerful. And so it's the best way to get something that's super light but can still penetrate deeply into armor or tissue or whatever. And that's like the limit of how small they can go. They go any smaller than that, and then the jet doesn't form properly. And the case is just big enough for you to snake it in there. And the battery, all you have to do, you kind of see how much space the battery takes in there.
Yeah.
Well, if you just remove the bottom portion of it and you reposition the battery, there's nothing on the backside. Like the PC board sits above the battery, so there's nothing. You can make the space and reposition the battery and still have the space for the shape charge in this area here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we also see kind of like the weird trajectory of the microphone, because it wasn't centrally located. Like the charge was kind of offset.
Yes.
And so it kind of gives it like an axial force. And so, that's kind of what caused you know, you look at what could be the cause of this thing, you know, sending the shrapnel and kind of like causing what we saw. And that would be the biggest effect of it. If they would have like centralized the charge, it would have been less likely to be able to throw the battery and the PC board in a certain direction. But because the majority of the energy was on one side, when that energy, you know, displaced, it was like, you know, pushing something from the edge as opposed to pushing it from the center. And so that was able to give it enough momentum and trajectory to cross his chest and impact his neck, which was a weird, you know, a lot of people are like, there's no way it could have done that. But the way Charlie was sitting, he had both his hands on the microphone, and he had a microphone in between his knees, and he kind of had like a slump that day. And if you line up the way that microphone was bulged out, sitting on his collarbone, and the way his shoulders were slumped forward, it's a perfect trajectory right into the area where we see the bone on his neck. You know, I have like a video showing it on my Instagram. It's like 5 million views just because it's shocking when you see it. You're like, oh, it's so obvious when you see it, but before you actually see it laid out with like a, you know, a metal rod,
that goes straight to it,
going straight through it and right to the area where we see the wound. It seems impossible, but you know, it's not. The trajectory was there. The positioning was there. The speed of everything was enough to penetrate what we saw. And most importantly, you see the object fall out of his neck. You know, I have 3 angles of video where I can see the thing falling out of his neck and falling to the ground. You know, it's just really, when you put all those things together, it's hard to deny that, you know, that wasn't a high velocity impact to his neck. That was a low speed, blunt impact, a medium velocity impact to his neck that we saw. And it was just enough to, you know, sever the jugular. And that explains all the crazy blood, you know, which, you know, that in itself, the blood and the strange wound, like spawned a whole another conspiracy, you know, that it was a fake, you know, a fake event, and they were using like, you know, a Hollywood special effect, just because you can't wrap your brain around that being what, you know, the wound of a 30-06 to the neck would look like. So it just leaves the door open for speculation.
And also too, like when you, I remember either you had said it in that video or you had said it in one of the shows with me that when he had his shoulders rolled forward like that, and the trajectory is there, it also is the perfect trajectory to hit the jugular, which was like right there.
Because it flexes that, I forgot what that muscle's called, but it's like the biggest muscle in your neck, and right on the inside of it, your jugular runs right along the inside of it. So it's like a hammock. You know, it's sitting there just waiting to capture something. And you could even like kind of shrug your shoulders forward and poke at your neck right there. You can feel it. It would just, anything that was coming close to your skin and it caught on that, it would just have nowhere to go but just you know, flex in. And you can even see the bulge. Like the only like sign of like cavitation or stretch on his neck is like directional, and it's just a little bulge to that direction, you know,
before it breaks the skin.
It breaks the skin, right? You see like a weird bulge and just like a weird shape, and then you see the rectangle wound, and then it's like 3 to 4 frames later before you see any blood erupt out of it. You know, it's just, it's that I spent probably more time just looking at that wound than anything else, just trying to figure out like what in the world was going on there, because it's just so bizarre. You know, I looked through all sorts of medical literature, case photos, like gruesome impacts, and it's just nothing about it matched impact of any round, be it handgun, rifle, you know what I mean, like entry or exit wound. It's just it was not easily, you know, identifiable as a bullet wound. That's why, like, I look at it, if we didn't see it recorded and someone just came up to Charlie and he was dead and he had that wound, like nobody would say he got shot. You wouldn't be able to find one expert be like, oh yeah, this is a classic sign of a gun wound right here.
Like high velocity blood splatter.
No evidence of it. Like no, literally none.
And then the blood that drained from what I believe too is from his brain. And Stu Peters spoke with a top-notch neurosurgeon from a metropolitan area that sees a high volume of cases, whether it's gunshot, car accident, traumatic brain injuries, and when they looked at that video, and I think he also said some of his peers as well, the color of the blood. Is it deoxygenated blood?
Yeah, it's your jugular's returning the blood from your heart back to your heart, right? So its blood has been spent by your brain. It's all the oxygen's pulled from it.
Yeah.
If you look on like anatomical charts, they'll have red, and that's the fresh blood. The blue veins of the blood just returning back, and the jugular is a big blue vein right there in your neck. I've had 3 to 4, people in the medical field email me and tell me that it was absolutely just the jugular that got severed, that the bleeding would have been pulsating
from the heart.
We would have saw a different color of blood. It would have lasted a lot longer. The color of the blood, the flow of the blood, and the area where he was struck, like it all lines up to just his jugular being severed. And the jugular is the most vulnerable. It's the one on the closest to outside. The carotid artery is deeper.
Yep.
So it's showing you that not only was it, just a jugular, but whatever the impact was, it didn't penetrate very deep. Which lines up
centimeters, right?
Yeah, that's 3 centimeters is all it would take to sever it. And that kind of lines up with the fact that we see the object falling out of the wound. And and that the delayed bleeding, that we see like a weird bulge that's rectangular, and then we see like a rectangular object fall out of the wound, and then we see the bleeding commence after that, kind of as he starts to fall over.
Right, and gravity has its effect.
Yeah, and all that lines up, and then the fact that he's not bleeding, for 30 to 40 seconds afterwards, like we should have saw active bleeding all the way to the truck, ideally. Like the fact that we didn't see that kind of shows you, he was in cardiac arrest, or in the last moments of cardiac arrest before he even hit the ground. Like his heart was already kind of like on its last few beats as he was making his way to the ground. And so that's why we don't see any like heavy bleeding on, we see blood on the security guys, but we don't see blood post, because they weren't like doing an excellent job of compressing his neck.
Not
like
while they carried him. No,
the guy was like reaching behind him with his hand, just like 2 fingers on his neck. Like, there's no way that would have been, they didn't have a tourniquet on his neck. Like, there's nothing effective enough to stop the bleeding. If his heart was still pumping, we should have seen active bleeding, and we didn't. And you look inside the vehicle, it's just smears of blood. There's blood all around, but it's like blood that they already had on them. It wasn't like blood like pulling on the ground or pulling on the floor or pulling in the seat.
I don't know if you froze. You might have froze. Hopefully it'll refresh. I was going to ask you a question. It did freeze. Are you still there?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, cool. So then what's really interesting, and we might jump around because as we're talking about inside the SUV, then it being the jugular, and it's just going to drain the blood that's in the brain. And once that's done, the majority of the blood loss is done. But he's in the car supposedly, and supposedly Brian Harpole puts 36 feet of gauze in there, and he does this whole little kitten thing with his mittens on Sean Ryan when he's just doing this, and he goes like, I just put it in, I just kept putting it in, I kept putting it in. And they talk how they had blood all over them when they showed up to the ER. So either 100% none of that happened, or he goes in and tries to sever the carotid so that there is more blood. I don't know. Like, why would there based on the injuries that we see, like none of that would have even happened inside the car.
Yeah. And then the one guy, the white hat guy, I'm terrible with names.
Frank Turek.
Frank Turek. Yes. He goes on Megyn Kelly, and he's like, oh, we're pounding on Charlie on the way to the hospital trying to get a heartbeat.
That's
and then Harpole goes on Big Head Redhead. And
Harry Milton.
And he's like, oh no, we didn't give a heart. We had to stop the bleeding. We didn't give any CPR. Yep. So it's like, whoa, bro, that's quite a
discrepancy.
He was quite confident that they were pounding on Charlie all the way to the hospital. And I even made, like, before I got blocked by Big Head Red, I was saying, like, they shouldn't be giving CPR to him. Like, they should have let the medics in. They would have had better equipment to stop the bleeding, and you stop the bleeding before then. And it's like, I got a whole lecture about how I should take some training courses. But then it's funny when Harpole goes on there, like the whole tune changes, that they weren't giving CPR because it wouldn't have been the proper thing to do. I was like, well, that sounds familiar. But again, like that whole ride to the hospital, nothing's consistent.
Correct.
It's like the vehicle had GPS, and it was like, Dan Flood was holding his phone with the GPS on it. I'm like, bro, like cars these days, like you push the assistant button on it, like, hey, directions to the hospital, like it pulls right up on the car. Like there's no reason to be holding your phone like it's like 2011. Like it's just the stories is the from the minute Charlie hits the ground all the way to the hospital, like nothing makes sense with that whole story. Like nobody can keep it straight. Like, did they cut the shirt off? Was the shirt off before? Did he hop on the Gertie and like start barking orders to the hospital staff? Like, it seems like nobody has like gone over and like gotten them all together. Like, hey guys, here's the story. It's just like they're just running loose. They're just like freestyling it whenever they do an interview because it's different every time.
Yeah. And, when he went on Sean, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see the change in Sean. So I've rewatched it a couple times with Sean and Brian, and you could except for the times when Sean like goes out of his way to make excuses for Brian. Like those are obviously like, what are you doing? That's not your job. You're interviewing him, bro. He should not be in a comfortable chair. Like you need to be pushing back. And he actually like finishes statements and like argues for him based on his experience. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him and Candace when that episode comes out, especially now, knowing that possibly Brian Harple offered to gift Sean Ryan the bag with blood on it. You know what was interesting? So I was watching Barron the other day, and someone gave a super chat, and they were like, yeah, that would be great evidence to like test if there was explosive residue on it. And he goes, that's not what I would test. I would test if it's real blood, because then we could finally put all the fake death people to rest.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool.
They would just say they got blood from the blood bank. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I remember Jordan said that the dots on Charlie's arm was because they drew his own blood, put it in a bladder so that it was more real. And
for sure. Yeah. It's definitely, like I said, the mental gymnastics just will never stop with that. People from 40 years from now, people would be like, oh no, Charlie's alive. It would be like Elvis. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know, that's sad actually. Yeah,
it is sad.
Okay, wait. So going back to like one of the other things that we were talking about was like the evolution of your theory over time as different information came out that when first, things happen, you're looking at like order of operations with the videos that you have to try to explain the anomalies that we see. Because like just by looking even at the videos that we did have at the time, you're like, that's definitely not a 30/6. So
yeah, especially that video from the left that shows his like shirt collar raising up so much.
Yes,
I was like, nothing in the world about a bullet impact would ever cause your shirt to like raise up and out, towards your face. That is what really sent me down the rabbit hole of that video. And then going back to that front video, like slowing it down and seeing how like the shirt moves and balloons around and then like takes that weird trajectory across his chest, and it seems to line up perfectly. Like as the microphone case travels over, the neck wound appears. It was too much, things that tied together. And then when I started running the maps, which are like pixel level, you know what I mean? Like your brain puts a big picture together. You're looking at all the detail. Like when you run those pixel level heat maps, they're looking at pixel movements, and it just kept flagging that area as the area that had the first movement and the most dramatic movement. I was like, well, that just, you have to follow the epicenter. Wherever the energy started and wherever it was most intense has to be
the origination
point, right? It can't be a secondary action, from a reaction from another force.
Correct. Yeah.
If we don't see that other force anywhere, right? It's the, those each of those pixels are like a data set. It's like looking at a spreadsheet, and the data was all showing that this was the area of concentrated energy. Yeah, this was like a second or third action around the neck. So, I had to figure out how to reconcile that, and it wasn't even a year has passed since the pager attacks. So, when I figured out that that was a wireless microphone underneath his shirt where my pixel maps were showing me where it all, that's when it all clicked for me. I was like, well, it had to be around that electronic device, because it's like the perfect target opportunity. It's something
really
that it wasn't in his possession most of the time.
Correct.
It was right near the vital areas of his body.
Correct.
It has a battery. It has a means of wirelessly communicating, and it has a really accurate speaker on it. So you can time it really well with a rifle shot to make it, because if you're going to, obviously the rifle shot had to be explained. It wasn't just like, oh, they were going to kill Charlie with a microphone and this dude randomly shot a gun at the exact same time. Like, they had to be tied together. And if you think about that logically, well, obviously it's the cover for it. If they blow a microphone up on Charlie's chest, everyone's going to know who did it. It wasn't a lone shooter, that's for sure. Like, Tyler Robinson wasn't, crafting micro explosives in his apartment with Lance Twiggs and sneak into TPSA in the middle of the night and switch out the microphone. Like, the only way you can explain it is a high level of sophistication, basically state level actors, infiltrating the organization, getting access to the microphone, using all the resources that they have, and then planning, a patsy to take the fall for it, because it's not like something out of the realm of possibilities. We've seen it time and time again. It's what they do, right? If you assassinate someone, you just don't assassinate them and have no one responsible for it, because that just leaves people open to thinking about it. You have someone that takes the fall, because people like closure.
You got to.
They like to be like, oh, Charlie died, terrible person did it, justice served, move on for our lives. You know what I mean? And so, that's what they're attempting to do. And then you add the psychological operations on top of it. What do we hear right off the bat? The leftist killers, extreme leftist killers. So it's, all of a sudden now you see, not only do we have a level of sophistication that would suggest that it was a state level actor, but now we have a psychological operation that gets parroted by every news outlet within hours of it happening. They're all saying the exact same verbiage to explain who did it, and 33 hours later, we got our guy, and, he's a leftist furry loving killer, just all things to make it where you would alienate the patsy, make him where he would have very few people that would want to be like, defend him, because, it's kind of like a, on the extremities of culture, right? So, you're not going to have any groups that would kind of like back up for him. They're probably going to say terrible things and make themselves look bad anyway. So it makes it even easier for everyone else to kind of like write them off as, better that they get the firing squad than to be out there, potentially killing somewhere else. So, it's nobody can just do that level of influence unless they have the means and the network to reach a nationwide kind of like influence. And because it happens within hours. And so, you're left with the only conclusions you can come with is, that there had to be someone that had at least, a state level type of power and connections to be able to pull the strings to pull it off. There's no other way you can explain it. We know it wasn't a lone wolf, right? Because we had the old man, there's just too many people. We had people talking about it online. So there's obviously more than one person knew about it. So we can put that to rest. We know it just wasn't, Lance Twiggs and Tyler Robinson plotting to do this, right? There was more people involved. So, once you go beyond that scope, then you don't really know how many people were involved. We can't really say, because the information has been little to none, and the information that we do get is all questionable. They allow us to insinuate guilt just by giving us little tidbits of information, but when you go and look at the actual court case, there's nothing there. There's just a bunch of nothing burgers, but they use colorful language, and they allow us to fill in the blanks to assume that they have a video of him changing clothes. They have a video of him with the rifle. They have a video of him taking the shot. They have DNA on the roof. They have fingerprints on the roof. They have DNA on the glove. They have a video of him putting the rifle in the woods. And in reality, they may have some of that, but it's mixed with other people's DNA. They don't have anything to tie him to the roof. They don't have any video of him in the woods leaving their weapon. They don't have any videos of him with a weapon visible on the campus.
Nope.
We have a rooftop video that you can't even tell if he's carrying a rifle at all.
That's not him. That's not him. I'm like almost positive, like 99.99%. that the prosecution won't even say it. Like they even said they in the beginning of the day, the 8:30 video, when he shows up with his car, walks around campus, they're like, we got him dead to rights. We have him on camera. We can tell it's him. He's wearing his hat. He's got his maroon shirt, shorts, and his Converse. We know it's him. He doesn't even go on campus. He walks around campus. And they're like, but it's clear. Good. We got good camera of it. And then he leaves. But then he comes back. But then in that video, they're like, but he's wearing a disguise. What disguise, you ask? Glasses. That's the only thing that's different. He has a hat on. It's a different hat. He's wearing a shirt. It's a long sleeve shirt. He's wearing pants, not shorts. He's got the same Converse. But the only thing that's different from the morning to the afternoon is that he's wearing glasses. And that's a disguise. Oh, no. Also, he knows where the cameras are now. And now he's shielding himself with his brim of his hat. And also, it just so happens those videos, those cameras are poorer quality videos. And so then they say, but we know it's him because he's Caucasian and he's around the same age and around the same build. And we know it's him because the Converse are the same.
Yeah. And then they say, cell phone pinging data, but they tell you nothing about the cell phone pinging data or where it's from, you know, or what time of day that they have it from. So it's everything they don't tell you is the most important thing.
Yes.
Because if they did tell you, if they had the hard evidence, they would certainly tell you all about it. You know, because really the case is built on a text message to Twigs, and a burnt note left for Twigs.
Yes,
but now Twigs isn't even going to get cross-examined because he'll fold under pressure because there's nothing there. We don't even know if they took screenshots of the text. We don't even have metadata. We don't even know. It literally could just been a contact on Twigs' phone that said Tyler, and he was showing them text from that. Like they don't even confirm that it was from Tyler's phone number, which tells you that either they don't know that it was from his phone number or it wasn't from his phone number, and they're just going to let you insinuate that it was his phone. So it's like here we have the whole case built on blurry videos of a random person. We have no idea. There's no chain of custody of the rifle ever being on the roof. We have a screwdriver that could have been retrieved by anyone. They could have just thrown it on the roof. They didn't need to go on the roof to get it up there. And we have DNA from things that Tyler owned. So yeah, I would assume a towel from his house and a rifle that he owned would probably have his DNA on it.
Yep.
And then we have his furry lover that showed pictures of a text, and they deciphered a burnt note from the trash that he burnt. But he's free and clear, doesn't have to show up to court, explain any of it. Like none of it makes sense.
Well, and check this out too. Like I know other states may have the same kind of rules for their preliminary hearing, but they did their research. Like it had to be Utah for a lot of reasons, right? In my opinion, it had to be Utah because of the LDS church, because of the deep, intel agencies influence there. UVU, BYU's deeply tied to, different letter agencies. And then they also had the different laws in Utah that make it very so the death penalty, right? They can actually go for the death penalty. And on top of that, the preliminary hearing, they're allowed to enter in hearsay. They're allowed to, and the judge ruled on it. So hearsay is allowed, which is this video that was recorded in secret from the defense. Defense didn't know about it. And then the prosecution doesn't seem to have any interest in bringing Lance Twigs in during the actual trial because they don't need to. The testimony will be in the record. So the testimony will be there without him being able to be cross-examined, and it's a win-win for them. And the judge said, yep.
Yeah, it's sad.
But
to round back around a big circle back to the videos, like the first two videos was like that front angle video with the Trump hat lady that was kind of like standing in the way.
Yeah.
And then that video from the left that kind of like is far away, but they kind of zoom in right before the action happens. And so, both of those videos, the magnetic clasp disappears as soon as like the shirt balloons around.
Right.
So, my initial impression was the magnetic clasp caused the impact of the wound. But then the UVU had already had the video uploaded, but the Charlie was blurred out.
Right.
So you couldn't see any of that. And then Blake released the unblurred version. And, you know, the first thing that I saw was like that his collar blowed out. You know what I mean? It's just so weird and blurry, and like the whole video just looked weird to me because it looked completely different than the other two front views that we had at that point, and then that side view. It had frames that I couldn't see in any other frames. And then Cub's video came out, and then Mark's video came out, which they're both from the right side. So now we have like a panoramic view of Charlie.
Correct.
And Cub's video was pretty on point. It saw the same things except for the side the side that the front views and the left view saw. But Mark's video saw that crazy hump on the back of the shirt where the shirt pulled back. Yeah. And so, you know, Mark's shirt and the UVU video, they both had crazy shirt expansion. It was just super hard for me to explain that. But both of those videos also showed the magnetic clasp like folded over. Which, you know, we know is impossible by what we showed earlier with the case still intact. Like the case is too thick for it to fold over on itself. It had to just be the clip and the clasp left for that to be able to happen. So it's like I almost thought that those videos were fake at first, that they were trying to cover up the fact that the magnetic clasp caused the wound. But it wasn't until I actually bought the microphone and I opened it up. And as soon as I opened the microphone case up and I saw the battery, I was like, oh, dude, it just changed my whole perception. I mean, look at the size. Like they're almost the exact same size. Yeah. So then I was like, oh my goodness. At that point, I thought that the shirt collar was raised up by his necklace, like the cross pendant raised it up. Right. Because you could see like a little blurry, it looked metallic peeking out of the sides. But then I saw that the circuit board had a blue mask on it. Yeah. So I was like, oh my goodness, that's not a silver cross. That's a circuit board sticking out of his shirt collar. And it made so much sense because it's like a square bulge that you see. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you look at it from the side, it's super thin and it sticks out like that. And so it was like, all right, so now I have the battery and the circuit board are connected. I know that the shirt bulge is the exact same size as a circuit board. I can see the blue solder mask peeking out of the shirt because it's against a white shirt and it's warm flesh. So it's like super easy to run analysis on it and see that there's blue pixels there. Like, you can't explain a bunch of blue pixels in that area other than something that's blue sticking out of it. And I was like, oh, then it all came to me. I was like, they traveled together. They're the shrapnel. And what we were seeing with the magnetic movement was it just lagging behind, because you can see how the battery rests inside the case. So basically the circuit board gets blown out and then the battery is connected and it pulls out with it, but it's going to tug on this as it comes out of that little kind of rubber spacer. And so that's what causes the movement of the microphone, why it twists and then travels across his chest. But it's slower than the shirt, because by the time it's traveling across his chest, the shirt's already raised up. So it shows you that the battery and the circuit board had a lot more energy and they was traveling faster. The clip and the clasp were lagging behind. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. The reason it was able to fold over on itself because the case was blown up and we only had a portion of the case left. So it's much thinner profile. So it could fold over on itself and you can't see the magnetic clasp from the front view. And then the reason the shirt raises up and then falls back down is because the circuit board had momentum. The shirt catches it and basically pulls it back down because it's not heavy enough to escape. And the battery had just a perfect trajectory to go from, slump shoulder position across and impact on his neck right there. And you look at that size, like it's the exact size of the wound that we saw. Like it's just, and then we see the battery fall out,
What does other people, like some of your critics, what do they claim that object is that falls out that precedes the blood? Right?
Nobody's ever said anything about it. Nobody's ever. It's just like they just ignore it. It's the details that can't be explained. They just
get ignored.
Just like the circuit board. It's like the necklace folks. Okay, so the pendant caused the neck wound. Then what caused the shirt to raise up? because either the pendant caused the shirt to raise up or the pendant caused the neck wound. One pendant can't do both things
at the same time,
right? And so it's like they'll just switch back and forth, whichever one they're talking about to explain it.
Time. Yeah,
but it again, like the necklace takes the opposite path around his body. Like the momentum wasn't going up on this side; it basically stayed rested on this shoulder while it rounded around. So, for the pendant to raise up, it would need to move the necklace with it. It can't move independently of the necklace.
Yeah.
And so, we have three things we can't really reconcile with the necklace is that A, the chain didn't move on that side. B, we have two actions that happen on that side, but you have one pendant. So, you're trying to explain three courses of actions with one movement, and it doesn't pan out. Where you look at the components of the microphone, we have three courses of movement that match perfectly with what we saw. We have we have the shirt collar being raised by the PCB board. We have the rectangular wound that is the same trajectory, the same speed from the battery that's connected to the PCB board. And then we have the movement of the microphone case. And then we see shrapnel of the black ABS coming out in the same time that all that's happening. So it's like you line all that up. Now we have like 4 orders of movement that are all tied to the microphone. So, the microphone can't be a secondary action. It has to be the epicenter of the event, because we see too many things that are going radially out from that have to be explained. That energy has to be accounted for, and there's no way to account for it other than that whatever caused the event underneath the shirt was centered around the microphone and had to be within the microphone, because something had to cause the microphone case to fail. Like it can't be something around it, something that passed by it. No, it had to be something inside the microphone.
Right. What do people talk? How do they explain the necklace breaking first? Like that's the thing that moves first, correct?
Yeah. So the very first thing that moves, and at the same time, the shirt collar. So the very first
simultaneous,
the very first frames of movement we see is the shirt collar is blown out, and we see that it's already, the necklace is past his jaw, snapped and past his jaw. So, and it's about right there. So it shows you that if you lay that down, it's about below his collarbone that the necklace snaps at. So it didn't snap down where the pendant's at. That would be like way more necklace. And so that's the very first movement. So again, like you have to explain, I've even have where we have a link of the chain, like going away from that area.
You can see a piece.
It's a single frame too, which means that it's moving faster than the plastic shards, which come this slightly a frame or two later. So, the necklace just didn't snap. The necklace suffered catastrophic failure, so much so that a whole link of it was able just to break loose and it traveling up and just fire out. So, that sort of momentum, and just the force it takes to break the necklace and then have enough energy left over to send it in that wild trajectory up and around.
Right.
It had to be something super close to the necklace, because if it was something that was further away, we would see more, there'd be more effects on other objects. Like the shirt would have had more effects in the area it happened. Like they were all very tight within our area. And the necklace just happened to be draped right underneath where the microphone was, it was just right in front of it. So again, we know that the shape charge would have had to go in one side of the microphone case to be able to fit all the components in there. So I think it was just really close to it. And when that explosion set off and that case opened up, that necklace was just in the way. And so just like the circuit board and the battery got ejected one direction, that necklace got ejected the other direction. And you can see the force on his skin. You know what I mean? Like the waves go this way. They go up and out. His hair gets blown up here. His chin gets blown this way. Like it's radial out from this area. And it's the fact that like the movement of the necklace is just a blur in the first 6 inches of movement. That's well over 600 feet per second. So, it's reaching like a subsonic bullet level of speed and that first level of movement. It's just the concentration of energy to be able to cause that. You can't explain it. And we certainly can't explain it by a bullet impact on the opposite side of the neck.
Why do you think the back of the shirt? So a couple questions that people like brought up in X space that I couldn't answer. There's no blasting cap in there. Is there? Is there a blasting cap inside of it?
No, you have like a primer charge, but it's more like it's not like a traditional like explosive. It's more of like a electrical impulse. It's like an impulse to set the high order explosive off, and all that. Like we're looking at like 5 milliseconds from when the signal is sent to when the explosive's in like full expansion. So it's a very short order of like whenever the trigger is fired to when it's at its full pressure. Going out, and then that pressure is going radially. So it's like, setting off where you're going, 17, 18 above atmosphere in all directions around it. So it's like a pressure wave that gets blown around. And so that's why we see his skin deform and his hair gets blown up. And to me, that the only way you can explain the shirt getting blown like that is that basically that pressure wave caught the back of the collar where it kind of like you can see if you look at his neck, like it's kind of like the crook of his neck was the peak of where that energy was able to kind of expand out, and it just caught this collar, where you can kind of see the line of sight, right where the microphone's sitting. If the gas would expand rapidly, the easiest way to escape would be out of the front of the collar and then out the side of his, over the back of his shoulder, kind of along his hairline. And so that's where we see the peak stretch, right? Where's the shirt stretched the most? Well, it's right at along his hairline. Boom, right there. So you can see the necklace is just a blur. And then you see his skin is deformed all around his neck, like somebody's pushing it with like an air gun, like compressed air, blowing compressed air at his neck and his chin. And then you see the wave coming up along his jawline.
Right
you
here.
can see that pressure wave. So that same pressure wave is going to travel past his shoulder and they catch on his shirt. And you see it immediately springs back. And then see how his flesh on his, like below his shoulder blades
down here.
You see that roll?
Yeah.
That's like that compression coming back in. So it's like, expansion and then snap back. And so that's what we see the expansion, snap back, pressure wave, and then everything goes back to relaxed.
Yeah.
You see his shirt shirt sleeve on that same side does a similar action where it gets pulled up violently.
If I go
from
back,
where if you go back in the very beginning, you'll see the shirt sleeve get pulled up. And it's right after the shirt collar goes out. So it's that gas was just looking any and everywhere it could kind of escape from underneath his shirt. And then from Candace's view, I found
right there
you see, yeah, exactly. And that could be from where at this same time his shirt collar is getting pulled on the opposite side.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Just
you
be
can
the
see
tension.
it lifted up right here. Look, it's all lifted up.
Yeah, the tension pulling at basically his armpit from it pulling up. But right in that area where we saw kind of like the peak deformation of that shirt collar on the back, from Candace's view in the back, you can see like a pink spot appears that wasn't there before, but it's there after the necklace makes its transition around.
On the back of his shirt?
On the back of his shirt, right where that the bulk of the stretch happens. There's like a pink, and it's I did the spectrum analysis on it, and it's red shifted. So it's not like a blood stain. It's like a pinky fleshy stain, like a atomized flesh. And so if you look at the size of the charge and how far it would penetrate, it would make, and if you've seen the effects of shaped charges, they make very like clean holes into things.
Yeah.
And they're super hot. So, along the whole wound path would be cauterized. You wouldn't have if you did get bleeding from it, it would be super delayed. Like the bleeding wouldn't start to come till well after like the explosion happened. So, the other possible explanation is that the charge actually penetrated all the way through his shoulder. And it kind of, if you look at the line, it would go all the way through and kind of in that bulge area where that stain is. That could be possibly where we're seeing some of the gas escape through his body through it. And the only reason I even think that is because the stain, and then there's a weird frequency that is picked up by all the cameras that are close to him, and it's the same frequency that is made from the internal penetration of the chest wall. And so it's like the math is about the volume of your lung cavity, and then kind of like the if something hits the outside of your chest, it makes a certain frequency. If something penetrates your chest, it's like a bass drum, like it has a different frequency that comes from the internal mass. And there's like, it's your thorax that makes the frequency, and it's right in the range that you would expect an adult male of his size. Like if his chest wall was penetrated into his lung and that energy expanding into his lung, the frequency of his thorax is picked up on the cameras around it. And it could just be a coincidence, but it's timed perfectly with the movement of the shirt. And it kind of like, it has a really fast rise time, and then it just dies off after that. You don't pick it up afterwards. So it's like kind of like the ballistic gel frequency. It's just like one of those anomalies that you can't put a tremendous amount of weight on, but it's there, and it's obviously not an artifact because it's picked up in like 6 different cameras, and the cameras that are further away from the tent pick it up less. So we can kind of like triangulate the fact that it originates from the tent. And then if you add that to the strange effect of his shirt and the stain, again, like all the evidence kind of comes together where, it's easier to explain it by that than to explain it by, it's not cavitation. Obviously the flesh on your back can't move that much. Like it's not soft flesh on your back. It's pretty bony. And so, if you have to make an explanation for it, one of those two, that it was the kind of the shock wave creating kind of a pressure wave that pulled the collar and stretched it back, or it was penetration of the actual charge that went through his chest wall and was able to escape through that area where we see the pink stain, and that caused the expansion of the shirt.
Yeah, some people mentioned, like, with the shape charge going off, would we not see any kind of equal and opposite reaction, like any kind of recoil, any kind of movement in that direction?
Well, that's kind of like the nature of shape charges. It's like that's the whole design of a shape charge is
that it doesn't do that.
It's a super directional force. Like if you see they can blow like a hole in 3/4 inch steel, and they just set the device on it. It's not like they're strapping it down or putting a weight on it. They just set it on the 3/4 inch steel, set it off, and it makes a hole all the way through it, So it's not like a radial force. You're not shooting a projectile. You're not shooting like, a 100-grain bullet in one direction, and the force has to be accounted for going the opposite direction.
Because it's shooting
you're creating an expansive jet of force. And because if you add up all the weight of the air that is moving, the expansive, basically pressure that it's creating, it doesn't weigh that much. So you have a 30-gram microphone that's like strapped to a shirt. We're seeing the equal and opposite force in the movement and the shrapnel. Like that is the equal and opposite force for it. Like even like 20-gram shaped charges, they'll if they do strap it down with anything, they'll strap it down with like a zip tie. You know what I mean? The thing won't even move. It'll still be there when, it'll explode, blow a hole and steel, and then the zip tie is enough force to hold it in place. So, it's us using our minds to like the things that we can relate to, which is like projectiles, right? Like, when you shoot a big rifle that has a big round, it has a lot of recoil. Well, it's because you're shooting something that has a lot of weight. Like that weight's getting pushed in one direction, it's going to push you opposite the other direction. And a shape charge just doesn't work like that. It's using like linear shear force of hot gas to penetrate things. So it's not shooting. It's like a plasma jet. It's not really shooting anything.
Right. Hey guys, we're going to get to the super chats. Just give me a second. Have you seen the new videos of I don't know if they're new. I mean, we knew of some of these. They're just circulating again even more, and people have found more of the narrative control in the beginning, and then the narrative shift once it kind of to me what it shows is that it's right in line with the theory that you've proposed from the beginning, that what we saw was a malfunction. We saw an execution go wrong. What we were supposed to see was the RØDE mic explode and go through Charlie's upper right chest, creating a 30-06 chest, upper right chest wound, right? And when it didn't do that, well, they had these crisis actors in the wings waiting to go to talk about a rifle shot, but also specifically, there's 3 that were out there saying that they were in the front row or the front few rows, and that they saw a Charlie get shot in the chest. One guy said in the heart, and the other lady was like in the chest. And then there's obviously all the weird behavior of these people. They're like smiling, they're like giggling. And then like 51 minutes later, that one, blonde young girl changed her story. She works at UVU. But that's this question, I think, is going to kind of get to that. What do you think went wrong with the RØDE mic explosion? And then what derailed the plan of the chest injury, and what caused the neck injury? What you think about the electrocution theory in combo with the mic theory? So maybe do the first one.
Yeah. So basically, it's just a freak occurrence. I'm sure they tested the device many times. You knew there was going to be shrapnel, right? The shrapnel wouldn't matter unless it impacted his neck, because if a 30-06 impact hits somewhere near a microphone you have underneath your shirt, it's probably going to blow it to pieces, right? No one would be surprised by that. It's the fact that it had enough energy to penetrate his neck and cause that gruesome wound that was way more obvious than any other wound, right? That they could explain. It caused them to have to pivot, and like the first set of witnesses were queued up already for Charlie got shot in the chest, and they also say, I believe he died before he hit the ground. I believe he died. Everyone was insistent that he died instantly. That just shows you that they knew that this was going to be a fatal explosion. That was like, all right, Charlie's going to be dead. He's not going to say a word. We don't have to worry about that.
That's a good point.
His shirt's going to move. Everyone's going to hear a rifle shot. We'll have the guy lined up, queued up to find the rifle in the woods. Now we have that tied, right? Heard rifle shot, shirt jump. Charlie fell over. He's instantly dead. 30-06, powerful rifle, definitely would have killed him instantly. Like everything would have lined up. Nobody would ask any questions. The coroner report would have been generic enough. Oh, a round wound in upper chest. That would have been all anyone needed to hear. They wouldn't need details of anything else. We wouldn't need a bullet. We wouldn't need anything else. All we would need is a round hole in chest, 30-06, died instantly, shot in chest. Like it would have been case closed. Everyone would have been good with it. But the neck wound caused a situation where you had, if it would have been like Butler, PA, and had multiple rounds go off, it would have been much easier to explain it away, right? Like, oh, or he got hit in the chest and got hit in the neck. No, it's just one of those, the extra round hit him in the neck. But it was a single shot. They had a bolt action rifle, so they just had a single shot to work with. And so you can't explain 2 wounds with 1 shot. So they had to pick a narrative to go with. Do we go with the chest shot and just pretend like the neck wound didn't happen? We'll try to explain it by, shrapnel coming off the microphone when it got hit by the rifle shot.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Right. That's the only thing. That's the only official narrative that would make sense to me. He got shot, hit the microphone, blew pieces of it in his neck. Right. That's the only thing that can kind of reconcile that. But you don't want to bring attention to the microphone. You want the microphone to, you know what I mean? Any attention that gets brought to the microphone, it wasn't a year before we had exploding pagers. You know what I mean? It's too close to the truth for them to go with.
Well, and we didn't see any wound in the shoulder, in the chest. We didn't see anything.
Exactly. Yeah. But we saw a very obvious wound in the neck. And so it's easier to explain away the necklace and the shirt than it is to explain away the neck. So, they just had to pivot. And then we have an hour later, everyone's like, oh, we saw Charlie get shot in the neck. Blood came pouring out. I think he was dead right then. I hear he's in critical condition, but I thought he was dead right then. So, it kind of shows you that that's kind of the case. The electrocution theory is, it doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of like hokey poke trying to explain how you detonate a necklace, because a necklace has never been detonated before. What jeweler is going to how do you even cast jewelry with explosives in them? And you have to have a means to detonate it, and it's too small to even really fit the explosives in. So you definitely can't fit like electronic detonation in it. So it's like it was just a means to try to explain
The decorticate posturing.
a mechanism. Yeah, and then the posturing too. That fact that he was holding a shear mic and he held on the mic for a while.
I mean, that's how I remember it. I think Barron had someone on who talked about it, and that they were trying to explain some of the anomalies in the scene, right? That Charlie was up on this raised platform. The rubber stoppers were taken off of the bottom of the chair. The canopy itself was like on these bumpers, platforms. Dan Flood was on a separate one that was separate from Charlie's. Charlie was using the handheld mic, which does have the ability to electrocute him, but it turns out, I think other people have also said it would have enough to deliver a pretty bad shock, not necessarily to end his life, though, right?
Yeah, when it has killed people, they've been like soaking wet and they've had it close to their face. You know what I mean? It's like, and also he was holding it with both hands when it happened. And so if you've ever seen anyone get shot by they try to let go of it. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever been shot, it ties your muscles up and you can't let it go. And that's not what we saw. Like he had it with both hands, and then he grasped and let it, and then slowly lets it out. So, it's like explaining phenomenon and trying to tie it together with the explanation of detonation of the necklace. When in reality, the reason electricity is kind of dangerous for humans because we don't conduct electricity very well. And so there's a lot of resistance when electricity does go through us. Like electricity would rather go through so many different things than our flesh. And so that's why people that do get electrocuted with shear mics, it's because they're sweaty or they're wet or they're standing on wet grass. And it's just all the things that would make it like plausible. They when you really get down to like the mechanics of it, they don't really make any sense. And again, like did Charlie die mysteriously death with no blood? No, we know what the wound was. The wound was a neck wound. So like electrocution doesn't explain that. So it's just like kind of like hokey poke pieced together from things that we couldn't explain from what we saw early on. But I think we have enough video evidence now and like audio evidence that we can say for sure that he wasn't electrocuted that day.
Well, and I wonder, did the electrocution theory, when Barron had that person on, did that come out before the UVU review video come out? I feel like it came out early on, but I mean, like, remember, I think it was probably done in honest attempt to try to explain some of the things that we saw. We just have to remember, like, now looking back, it's hard to remember, like, in what succession did these things happen? Did these videos come out? Did we get this information? And, hindsight is 2020, but that I think it was an honest attempt to try to explain the decorticate posturing and some of the things that was weird about that UVU setup that day.
Yeah. And I think the real thing that like turned it on was that some of the pictures, it looked like Charlie had like burnt hands
on his hands. That was the other thing.
It was really blood from his hands, like those specks that like you see from the back view that Candace showed, like the first that was blood. You could see like his hand comes up as the blood squirting out. It hits his hand. Yes. If you've ever had blood on you and you smear it, it has like a rusty, like gives you like a cooked charred kind of like orange color
to it.
Yeah. You look like you've been kind of like slightly burned, but again, it's just like we had limited information and in their scope during the time with the information we had, it was probably plausible at one time or another. But I think with everything we know now that it's not very plausible.
Yeah. And always be true. We've already gone over what caused the neck wound. If you want to watch that in a little bit, I don't want to be redundant because I have like all these other super chats to get to, but we had already covered that it was the battery. And I also think do you think it's possible that some of the shards hit him in the hand and maybe were lodged there, or are you positive those were specks of blood?
No, I've traced the travel of the blood and the path of his hand. Yeah, for sure. You could see there were big droplets of blood too that were coming out, but it was like the initial blood kind of had velocity to it, and it was right as his hand was coming up before he even fully dropped the microphone is when he had it on his hand.
Right. The next one here. Could Jon discuss if he thinks his neck was broken? And if so, how and when? Many think it was broken in the SUV or that he came to in the SUV. Is that possible?
I don't really have any evidence that his neck was broken. Like if you watch him fall, he falls on like electronics, like a big Pelican case.
Yes.
And he falls on his shoulder and his head is, I mean,
it just,
I've seen a lot of people. I've done jujitsu for a long time. I've seen people tossed and thrown, and
way worse.
You know, and I've seen way worse.
Yeah.
That was pretty normal fall. Like there was nothing abnormal about it. And then his head was pretty stable on the way. There's nobody really holding his head that well.
That's the
on
thing.
the way to the car.
Yeah, so it's from some of the videos and the photos of them carrying him to the car. I think Barron early on said he thinks something might have happened with them on the ground when they're out of view, that they might have tried to do something and finish him off maybe, because what we see when they carry him to the SUV, no one is supporting his neck, and so it's dead weight, and so it looks bad because his head is kind of like flopping and hanging. But to someone that maybe doesn't, haven't seen someone like completely unconscious carried with no support to the neck, it looks maybe like it would have had to have been broken for that to happen. But I just think that no one was supporting it, and they're carrying him and they're walking, and so it's kind of doing this as they're carrying him, and it just looks bad.
Yeah, you kind of see his arm swing around too. I've seen people be like, "Oh, he's still alive," like he's waving to the crowd. It's just his arm moving with the momentum of them trotting away with
carrying him. Yeah, it like bumps on one of the guy's hips and legs, and it kind of moves. And do you think that he came to in the car and then they finished him off in the car?
I am almost certain that he was pretty much dead before he hit the ground.
Yeah, I think also when Stu Peters talked to that neurosurgeon, and when you really guys like look at some of the videos, the slowed down high quality videos that Jon has done, where you can really, and I'm a little nervous to show more on here. I'm even nervous.
Yeah, you should be. You should be.
I'm a little nervous.
Instagram, the Instagram and X. It's the same handle. If I have on here, I'm on Instagram and X.
Jon's Instagram and X, and you can see the actual like massive shockwave that reverberates through Charlie's neck, skin, chin up, and it moves the shape of his hair even and his scalp. And then like it eventually sets as he's falling over. But that's a massive explosion of energy. And based on what Stu Peters said when he spoke to this neurosurgeon that deals with traumatic brain injuries, that explains the decorticate posturing. That explains a deep brain, like you said, midbrain. Is it midbrain?
Yeah, midbrain is kind of the movements that we see. And then, regardless, the brainstem was affected. Like there's no way you have that amount of energy, displaced right there next to your neck that's going to travel throughout your body without brainstem issues. Like,
do you think that only happened to this part of him because of the malfunction and the way it was wrongly placed? If it would have gone through the chest, do you think we would have seen all that still in his head? Like, what if they were just trying to take him out with the explosion alone, but then they obviously needed something to reenact or create the wound? But if the explosion alone would kill him,
the force from the explosion alone would be able to kill him. Yeah, so it could be that they didn't need a wound at all. Just the shockwave of the force of the explosion would be enough to kill him. And then, they take them to a special hospital. It's all like new hires. Like the whole hospital scene is obvious. Like if you were going to set up like people to be put into place to give you the narrative that you want to, for a person that's going to arrive, like they had that set up. So they didn't need a chest wound. Like they just needed to make sure that Charlie passed quickly and that, they had a rifle shot that lined up pretty close to when we saw the expansion of the shirt, and then everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah. The chest wound would be for us, to convince us. And here's the thing too. Think about Charlie represents Christians, Republican, conservatives. Okay. The people you need to convince that it's the left is not the left. They don't care. They cheered about it. Okay. The people that you need to give an enemy to hate, the people that you need to convince is someone that they already have been convinced have done something like this. And that's why the crazy leftist isn't for the rest of the world It's for other Republican conservative Christians that would so easily be like, yes, that is an evil person that would do that. That was for us as well, you know.
Absolutely. It just makes it primes your brain. It's like pre-programming the trauma. Like we have all these school shootings, and you had the those kids that got shot like a few months before then. So it's like you're already primed, like primed. The pump's already primed for the trauma. All they have to do is just feed the bad guy, and it's like you're right in the it's us versus them. You know what I mean? And it's just about dehumanizing. So you lose all empathy for the person that's being accused, or the person that's taking the fall for it, because they're the enemy. Like they're subhuman to you. So you kind of like all that rational thinking that you would normally do if you were like empathic to a person going through it, that all gets thrown out the window right away. So it's very easy to convince somebody they're guilty and they're worthy of punishment.
Yeah. To go back, because I think I asked too many questions at the same time. So I just want to cover this. And I'm still getting to the super chat. So other people that have super chats, get them in. We're going to get to them. If it would have gone through the chest, would the shockwaves still have reverberated up through his body?
For sure. Yeah. Okay. There's no way to avoid that shockwave. Like it's the speed of the expansion that caused the shockwave. And so I think it's part of like kind of the design element of the whole event, is that it was so fast, it was going to be hard for anyone to perceive. Like I even knew what I was looking for, and I was getting thrown off by the speed of it. You know what I mean? Like certain cameras didn't even capture it. We had a 60 frame per second 1080p camera sitting there shooting the whole thing, and it didn't capture key frames that a 30 frame per second camera next to it did. So it divides up the possibilities of enough detail being captured by one person that you'll be able to kind of piece it all together. Like if I only had one or two video angles, I wouldn't be able to come up with a thesis. It's when it all came together. We kept getting higher quality versions from different angles from all around Charlie, who's pretty much surrounded by cameras.
Right.
All that data came into the thesis. Like if you just have a few, it's very difficult to discern what happened. And I think that's what they were kind of banking on. They underestimated people's willingness to share traumatic video. It's like we've been kind of desensitized to it, and so much so that we feel like it's almost like our duty to share it and upload it when we capture something traumatic. And it was kind of the undoing of the whole event because of that.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if it's a TED Talk. I saw a video. I sent it to Zach, not because I think this is one way that it happened, but it shows the technology of the shape charge put in those little drones. Have you seen?
I think that's a movie.
No,
is that an actual TED Talk?
Okay, well, I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I think it's a scene from a movie, but that's the same technology I'm talking about. The drones, that's real technology. That's not like some.
Correct. Yeah. And it shows like a shape charge, and then it shows the jet going into this like mannequin, and it's like this, and it goes in and through. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. It gave me a visual, not of, a drone or something like that, but of the shape charge being able to penetrate and cause and kill someone.
Yeah. I mean, it's made to penetrate armor, like flesh. Correct. Easy work for it. Like, and I think that's why it's so attractive as like assassination tool. And I think that, there's no way to explain this AES contract. Like there's no viable use for it. Like it doesn't, like usually a contract kind of give you an idea what the goal of the thing being procured
is for,
of it,
the function,
the purpose. Yeah. And it doesn't have there's no like strategic function for it other than assassinate people.
Yeah, it's not a multi-use purpose.
Absolutely not. It's not big enough to breach doors and disable vehicles. Like it's only just big enough to conceal and things and kill people with. Like that's the only strategic advantage that something like that would give you. And so war has changed so much that we haven't comprehended that the days of battleships and tanks
are done.
And are done. It's over. Like everything is small, and it's concealable, and it strikes without you seeing it. Like this is the new face of war, and we're just not used to seeing it. And this is just one of the first victims of it. I'm sure we're going to see more and more of it. And you know, we don't control our supply chain, so it's like everyone gets everything in the mail. So all it takes is someone just intercepting electronics you purchase through the mail and swapping it out, and you can use it for years and never know that it's just sitting there primed to go off in one day. You know, it's probably the biggest vulnerability that we have. And you know, I think that's why it's a guarded secret, and that's why it's a taboo subject. It's because it's implemented already, and you know, it's probably part of the whole kind of like blackmail scheme to keep state, you know, politicians and people in power in check, because you don't know what your whole family could be carrying these devices. You know what I mean? Like it puts you in a very vulnerable position, knowing that there's little or nothing you can do to check every device you have. Like it would mean like you go into like Amish style life, you know, where you don't have anything battery.
No.
They are. No, there's a lot we can learn from the Amish.
Yeah.
But
they had like zero. They had the lowest rate of COVID, and they have the lowest rate of like autism and Down syndrome. They don't vaccinate. They don't eat GMO. They don't have technology.
I love the Mennonite and the Amish. I think it's admirable. I think we should all look at what they do and try to mimic it in our lives as much as possible, because it's a way that we can avoid the trappings of the modern world. You know,
correct.
It puts us in a very vulnerable position to kind of be behooved to this technology, and it doesn't really help us a whole lot. If you really like, it's not benefiting you. A cell phone's not making your life better. I promise. You could smash that thing and throw it away, and you'd be like, "Wow, that didn't really change my life at all. Just have more time to do things that like enrich my mind." And
you might have to go through some detox withdrawals for electronics for a bit, but I mean, literally, like if an EMP went off or if like a big catastrophe happened, the Amish and people that like live like that would be the most prepared to survive. Like we would need them. It's crazy. Let me ask you a question about Candace Owens last week, and then we're going to get to the other supers. I see Brett. I see another one. It's really small writing. I can't see it. Did you see the video that she played of the guy putting the shape charge on the bulletproof glass, and then it detonates? It goes through the bulletproof glass, and then he goes, "It's just like a 30-06 round."
Bro. Yeah, that was one of the first videos, just like her. Like it was the first video she saw when I was going to try to like see the effects of shape charges. That was one of the first ones I saw, and I was just like,
you too? Oh yeah,
wow. I was like, bro, not only that, it's bulletproof glass is tough material, right? And it's just like the huge hole in it. So immediately the first thing I did was like, how much force would it take to recreate the joules that would be displaced by a 30-06 impact from 150 yards? And that's where I came up with the 2 grams, which I think is an overage. I think it's more. I think it takes way less than that. It's probably like around a gram of explosives to do what we saw. But that's what the figure comes up to. Like 2 grams of high explosives in a shape charge could create the same wound channel as a 30-06 is. Yep.
Nuts. And yeah, I remember you bringing up. So Stu didn't know. I didn't know that you were one of the first to know about the AES plant, the Accurate Energetic Systems. You told him that because he was like, "Do you think that they built this at Fort Huachuca?" And you were like, "Actually, they had a government contract to build these micro shape charges in Tennessee at this plant, Accurate Energetic Systems, and the contract was filled and completed, I think, on August 24th or August 25th." And then 30 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this plant explodes, levels the entire thing. And I think at the time, I don't know if it's more now, but like 16 people were killed, and everything was gone, right? Like there's no trace of any of the explosive materials used or parts left over from previous contracts, all gone.
Nothing. Yeah. No witnesses, no like bolts and sheet metal is like the best you're going to get. Like it was it was like what EF5 tornado does. Just to the slab.
The slab was left, and the cars that were in the parking lot, like far away or far enough away, were all burnt to a crisp, and they were fully engulfed. And what's interesting is that the manager at the plant that was there during the contract being filled was transferred the day before, and he's gone.
Yeah, and that guy, I did a deep dive on that guy.
Where is that
Very interesting. He still hasn't taken another job.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just retired after that.
Yeah, I didn't want to go talk to him.
They got better things to do. They got country sensations that they have to protect. They can't be bothered to go and talk to a guy that left his job. And 30 days later, the whole plant that he was the production manager. He wasn't like a janitor.
Nope.
He was the production manager, and he leaves his job shortly after the September 10th, and then the building blows up 30 days later. Like, I don't know. I would probably want to at least get the guys, what you've been doing last summer, where you've been staying, like what's this California condo you're staying at with all these other names at the same address, like where you've been traveling here, where you've been traveling there. I'm not no internet sleuth. I was able to find all that information out. There'd be questions that I would need to ask. That's a lot of foreign names that are at that same address and at the houses around it. Yeah. It's really weird that that's a long way away from Tennessee. You don't seem to have a lot of money, and you're hanging out in California for the summer. It seems a little strange, but yeah, I doubt that anyone asked these questions.
How sad. Like, either that guy was threatened to no degree, like to the ultimate degree, or he was paid. But to know that your replacement is probably going to be blown up, or maybe he didn't know. I don't know. Like, when they transfer him, he had to have some inclination.
Oh, he didn't get transferred, bro. I'm telling you, he has no job. He's just chilling at the house. Like, that's the first thing I looked at. I was like, where'd he go? Like, these people, I was a defense contractor for a while. I know how it works. It's small circles. Like, you go from one place to another place. Like, you stay in that realm of work, because it's it's all about who you know. It's like, people in the contracting department, that gets you contracts. That's how it works. So if you've had previous relationships, another company will hire you up in a second.
Right.
And it's like, I'm retired, chilling at home. Not that old of a guy. Like, it seems a little weird. Like, it's weird, beyond strange. But I don't delve in the people side of it too much. But that one is one that I couldn't help. Yeah. And somebody on X turned me on to it. And then one of the producers of Sean Ryan's show has been super. I'll say his name, but he was one of the first people to reach out to me, and he's been a great friend ever since. Like, he's given me such great information. He's been super supportive. And so, I know, like, I've seen Sean evolve, and I know, like, there's a lot that goes on into kind of like making transitions into show narratives and everything. And I feel like they're coming around. Like,
what do you think happened with him and Brian Harple?
Brian Harper was scared. He reached out because he was he was being implemented in a assassination. So he was freaked out about it. He was already fired from Turning Point at that point. Yeah. So, he was, if I put myself in Brian's shoes, you're just trying to get out in front of it.
No, but Sean, like, why would, one of the possibilities that Sean just wanted to get him on and let him talk.
Bro, that's what he did. But like you said, he made them comfortable.
Yeah.
And he definitely, so but there's a certain amount of like strategic action in that. And that you get him comfortable and you get him talking more, like that text message he shared. That was so dumb.
Yeah,
like
lied and said it was him, but not Dan Flatt.
Oh, there's no way they were supposed to cover it. And if like anybody reads that text message, it's clearly that they're talking about the overpass behind them, and he doesn't mention at all that they have it covered. He asked if he could get access or someone to cover it, and he says, "I got you covered." But that doesn't mean that I literally have that area covered. And even if he did, which they did, they had it taped off and they had a guy up there. That doesn't mean the roof across where it has clear line of sight. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, we took that shot. We spent 8 weeks of preparation. We had every angle in there. We knew the shots. That could be taken." Oh, well, you did. Well, you sure didn't bother to have anyone looking at the roof line. You know what I mean? Like they had the Rick Cutler or whatever the dude's name is sitting there staring at Charlie, staring a hole through Charlie with his hand on the fence. Like, what strategic performance?
What did that do?
There was 2 police officers strolling back and forth behind the tent. And he's sitting here, eyeballing Charlie the whole time, like it's going to do something. Like, it makes no sense. Like the more they talk, the more it seems like either they're completely incompetent or they were just hired just to be stooges.
Yeah.
And the more I look at it now, it seems like they were just hired to be stooges. It was his first contract. He undercut his friend.
Correct.
Right? He made a new company. He undercut his friend. Dan Flood got him the contract, basically.
Yep.
And so, he was just a stooge to take the fall. That looked like an incompetent fool. And then that's why they let him go and talk to everybody. Be like, oh, well, he'll just back up what we need. You know what I mean? He's just going to go out there and say crazy stuff and look more like a stooge. So everyone would be like, well, his security wasn't that great. So I could see how it could happen. It all kind of lines up, and it takes the scope of blame away from the people that were actually in charge, the people that were actually pulling strings, that had access to the funds, that were planning the actual event. He was just a third party to it. He was just there to make it seem like they were doing their best, their due diligence to protect Charlie.
I found a video of Charlie in March of 2020 at the 10X conference with Grant Cardone. And Grant asks him if he's afraid, like what troubles him, like who's he afraid of? He literally says he's not afraid of anyone on the left. So the whole text message the night before that he's afraid of someone killing him from the left. No, he literally goes like, no, I don't even care. That happens all the time. I don't worry about that at all. And so him supposedly getting a priest to come over to pray over him because of some Jezebel article hex thing is total BS. And then him sending out a text the night before that he's afraid someone's going to kill him is not about the left. It's clearly after that Zoom call meeting. And then he goes on to say, actually, the people that concern him the most are people that have betrayed him, deceived him, people that compromised their integrity, people that were or are in his inner circle, right? And I thought that was just nuts.
Yeah, and we know now, hindsight, he was making moves to kind of clean up house.
And yes, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. We also know that he reached out to a former security team person. I don't know if you ever heard that audio of that guy that was that used to do security for him. I don't know if it was Schaefer or if it was a guy from Schaefer or a different guy. I forget his name. It's just the audio that's out there. And then he did a recent interview with someone. I don't know who. But he said that Charlie reached out to him in December, I think timeframe 2024, January 25. I forget the time, but reached out and said he was concerned about his current security team, which was Integrity Security Solutions at the time. And then all of these sequence of events happened to that guy that kept him from being able to go meet with Charlie. And then it never came to.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I put that together with what Charlie said concerned him about people from his inner circle. And it kind of lines up to, it's not that people from the inner circle planned it all, but that were part of it. Because I definitely think, Philly has the technology, has the means, has the opportunity through the people in the inner circle.
Yeah, and they compartmentalize the knowledge. If you don't need to know, you don't know. Yeah. You know just enough. Yeah. And so, you assume that what you're doing is pretty innocent, and you don't know till after the fact that you've just been involved in a conspiracy. And once you find that out, you certainly don't want to talk about it because you're implementing it. So it's like you're a part of it where you want to be not. At that part, you're in too deep.
I hadn't thought about this. People have proposed a theory that they think maybe Charlie thought he was going to fake. Someone asked Barron a question the other day that maybe he was going to try to fake his death to escape some sort of thing, but then they knew and they beat him to it. And I'm trying to explain some of the things what would Mikey have been told? What would Blake have been told to get them to do that weird behavior and Terrell in them? Or are they fully in on, and I'm not making this, I think that they're not good people whatsoever. But just trying to understand some of their behavior and understanding the need to know, right? Even with Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs, you could be doing something that you think is completely I don't know, not criminal, until after the fact, and you see the big picture, and you're like, holy smokes, I just was part of a crime. And then you're like, I'm not going to say a thing. Like, I'm not, what the heck? And now you're acting all weird, and now you're like saying things that don't add up, and now you're lying, and you're not good at lying. I don't know.
If it was me, I would have them think that would be the plan, and that you can't talk to Charlie or anyone about it, right? Super secret plan, and that's you're playing your part in this plan to save Charlie.
Yes,
but in reality, the whole time Charlie doesn't know anything about it.
Correct.
And they're sitting there thinking like, oh, we're going to fake Charlie's death in any moment, and that's how you get someone kind of benign and not that trustworthy to go right up to the point where they're already off the cliff by the time they realize, and they just have to roll with it. Like they can't walk it back, and they're going to do what they're trained. It's just like the guy that goes behind the concrete wall. It's like, oh, they killed Charlie. Let me put my glasses on. They killed Charlie. They killed Charlie. Shot him. He's dead.
He's dead.
It's just like scripted, just like the first people that they interviewed, and they're like, oh, Charlie got shot in the chest, fell over dead. He died instantly. You know what I mean? It's just like you prepare people for these things, and they're just going to, like, in the trauma of it all, they're just going to replicate what they were trained. Not very well. You're not going to be able to give them like shift gears and do something different. So I think that's kind of like, that does kind of explain how you can get these people that these aren't like operators. You know what I mean? They're not assassins. These are just regular people. But if you look at their actions after the fact, like they're already in it, and then no telling what they've been offered since then.
Or threatened, or both,
or threatened, right? And it's usually both, right?
Yeah,
it's
play
either
good and you get this. Don't play good and you get this.
Silver or lead. You know what I mean?
Silver or lead. Yeah. Let me read this, Brett. I know you've been waiting patiently. Hey, Matt and John. John, are you aware of the sensor to shooter tech developed by our favorite ally, Philly, that would explain the synchronization of the shot with another weapon?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. Again, like drone technology has mastered the art of remote firing. You know what I mean? Because these are remote controlled devices, and like they're aiming it with a camera. Yeah. And so it has to be like time. Then there's latency and lag in between all that. So it's like all this technology is very cutting edge and new, but it's not like James Bond, spook stuff. This is this stuff where people are dying from this every day. Like this is in practice getting refined. So the level of sophistication that we can only assume is going to be at least to that level that we're seeing in the active battlefield now. Yeah. So,
like in Ukraine and stuff, that where a lot of
dude. Horrific.
And you all know that, like, so you can test things in the warehouse, in manufacturing, but then you really have proof of concept, and you have major leaps when you take it to the battlefield and you're using it, and you see how it fails and you see how it works. You go back to, and you're constantly going back to the drawing board with new models. And so during a time of wars, when like weapons, progress pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially something small and low cost like that.
Yep.
Because you can have just run-of-the-mill contractors making this stuff.
Yes.
And there's only one contractor that's involved that's actually making a deadly weapon. Everyone else is just making a drone for the military. They don't know what it's used for. You can have 100 different contractors making it. Only one contractor has to make the thing that actually makes it deadly. So it's really easy to just have a lot of different SKUs, a lot of different styles, and just flesh them out. Like you said, the battlefield is the ultimate means to just flesh out a weapon and see how it works when it's in the hands of a warfighter, see how it fails, and things progress quickly. And we've had, better part of, constant war, since, if you really put the pen to paper, since we've been teenagers from the late 90s on, since September 11th on, it's been pretty much this constant war. So.
All right, the next one. So I saw Candace today. Did you see Candace today, where she shows a piece of the ABS plastic in the car, and it looks like it is the Bluetooth symbol is on one of the pieces of plastic? Did you see that?
Yeah, bro. I actually made a script to try to put the pieces back together. to try to find, because you can see the clearly, like it's the same color text that's on the face of the microphone. Like it has two different color text on it, and you can see pieces with that clear text, and one piece is close to the edge, so you can see the beveled edge. So I was like, that's my piece. So I made a script to like try to find out where it went, and I just could never get a high enough resolution picture of the for the SUV to really hone in on it. But if I ever did get a high resolution, I still have that script made. It would be able to tell you exactly where that piece was. Like I've been able to test it with like little scale models, and it does a really good job. It has the logic good, the script works, the code is solid. I just need a higher resolution feed to feed it. It's just like with the pixel mapping. Like once I started getting 1080p videos and running the mapping on it, it left no doubt. Like you couldn't deny it. So.
Do you think it is that piece of the ABS plastic that is the Bluetooth?
There's like a
USB symbol.
It says a power, and then there's another, I believe it says USB, but it's the text that's close to the corner, and then there's a little cutout where the light, like the signal light, is on. Yeah, but for sure. That's why I thought it was. That's why I was trying that piece he's talking about is the piece that I was trying to identify, because it's close to the edge, right? It has the beveled edge, like that beveled edge of that black glass gives you like proximity. It's along the edge. So it's like my best chance of pinpoint where it goes. So I know exactly what piece they're talking about, and it's for sure on it. You can also see, if you look closely, you can see the road symbols like in the black glass, and then the road symbol is like a dark gray, kind of like a matted gray. There's a few pieces that you can see that on too. It's just not as apparent because it's just not as big of a contrast as the record and the USB or the power.
Right.
I think it's record and power is what the text is. Like in abbreviation, it's like 3 letters on each of the. That's at least the piece I was talking about. I hadn't seen Candace's episode, so I don't know what they could be talking about. But a lot of people are showing the wrong microphone face. Like they're showing the Rogue Go. Like the Pro has a different face to it. The Pro, and there's the new model Pro, which has a different face than the model that he had. So it's the Rogue wireless microphone Pro model is what he had, and he had the older model that had the glass, the shiny glass front. The new model has like a flat black ABS plastic front on it.
So how positive can we be? Because like we can see previous events. We can look at the most recent event before UVU and see which one they had. If we have a good picture of it, because if it's underneath, you can speculate.
He wore it outside his shirt for a few of the events. That's how I know.
From before, though. Yeah, from before.
Yeah, but they didn't change. They didn't change the microphone class is the same class, and you can identify it by the microphone that they use for the participant. They have the Shure that they're talking into, and right underneath it, they have the other. They're sold in pairs, so the other microphone is right underneath it, and you can see it clearly because it's not.
Can you?
Yeah,
I haven't looked at that.
If you look at,
they have to pick that up too for the video. They got to pick up both. Yeah,
exactly, and that keeps them perfectly synced, so it just makes their job a lot easier.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. The next one we got here is Jax loves Rich. Okay. There are 2 marks on Charlie's left hand that Candace believes are blood. Yeah, I think that's what John said too. They line up with the same 2 spots visible on his hand in the casket that makeup didn't fully cover. Could those have been cuts from the RØDE mic?
That could be, but that whole casket thing was so weird. Like, he's like orange man, and his hands were all weird looking. I'm not even sure that was Charlie in that casket. It was just like super strange. Like, why did they even record that? It was just like, if I passed, that would be the last thing I would want my wife to do like a like a reel of her like grieving me dead in a casket.
It gave ammunition to the Charlie faked his death, because people say the hands aren't the right size. They look at the color and then they go, no wife would even do that. And it's like they're wanting to show us that Charlie's dead. Like they're wanting proof, like to prove to us, like, here is his physical body laying in the casket. See, he's dead. And it just, I think it did so much more damage than good. It did a lot to damage Erica Kirk's reputation, like us looking at her, like, who would do that?
Yeah.
But to me, like, so I've looked at Charlie's hands a lot. those, okay, if they're not his hands, those are almost the perfect renditions of his hands, because you can look at the way his thumb is, his knuckle on his hand, the way it's like, go look at videos close up of his hands and go back to the casket video. And if it's not him, they did a phenomenal job. The only job they didn't do good. Well, they put makeup on hands though, on dead people. They put makeup.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When they do, they make you they like put makeup all over you.
They want to try to bring color back to you, because all the blood is gone, the warmth is gone, you become pale. It's very eerie looking at an unmakeuped dead person. And so the best that they can do is try to match it with makeup, and it doesn't come out great because it's not real, it's a dead person. And so it's makeup, kind of looks like Donald Trump's face. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Like, it's that orange spray tan look. But as far as the spots go, I don't. I'm 100% positive that those drops we see in that video are from blood from Candace's video.
Yeah,
and I'm just not. I think my hands are always beat up. I always have like scars and bumps all over them. Like, it's just kind of like, it could be from anything like
previous. Yeah. We'd have to really get good close-up shots, high quality shots of his hand in the weeks and months leading up to see if that's even, because it could even have been a previous like scar that was there, and that was in the later stages of healing, or it had healed, but it was just a scar. Because also the phone that they use in the casket scene is not a high quality phone, like video, and then it gets compressed when they upload it. And so it's not the best piece of visual evidence to determine like, what are we looking at on his hands? You know,
for sure.
And it was also unfortunate, I think, in the beginning too, they used the casket scene to say, see, he was electrocuted. See, those are the burn marks on his hands. And then they had to put makeup on his hands to cover it up. Let's see. The next one we got here is John. Is that tech? Wait, John, is that tech is related to lavender?
Lavalier, maybe. She's talking about the lavalier microphone.
The lavalier microphone?
Yeah.
That tech is related to the. I don't know what that means. You might have to put one in. Send your actual, if you don't want to pay another super, because I don't want you to have to pay another super if you're just restating the same question. But send, like, retype it in the chat and have Mystic send it to me, and then we can answer your question. I'm not sure.
But I would assume she's talking about the explosive, and yeah, the explosive was definitely like in or around the wireless microphone.
Yeah. Why does Stu Peters is the one that calls it the lavalier? Why is it called a lavalier mic?
I have no idea. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
He says lavalier all the time.
I've never even heard that term, like, to describe like a microphone. So.
It's like a French thing. It sounds French. I don't know. Lavalier. I always wondered why he does it. He just doesn't call it the RØDE Mic. Why doesn't he just call it the RØDE Mic? But I like and support BLB. Thank you, Apocalypse. I like and support you too. Thank you, Apocalypse. Now, all right. What do we got here? Okay, I found the DOJ contract in May through August 29th for $440,000 to Assurance Energy Systems, the Tennessee company. I thought it was Accurate Energetic Systems.
Yeah, Accurate Energetic Systems.
Have you seen anyone that looked further into that, possibly delivered September 8th before Fort Huachuca? You maybe came into this probably after we talked about that in depth. But yeah, go ahead, John. You can say.
Yeah, there's been a few people that have broken down the contract. Leah Files, I think, on Twitter. She does cool. She does good. Yeah, she does real good work in it. She's a good investigator. She breaks it down pretty good, kind of like the oddness of it. It's like a sole source contract. It's a sole source contract. It's a short duration, and it's like a single delivery. So it's like it's like it's not like how a traditional contract will work. Like it's pretty weird, especially for such a specific device that doesn't have like a very defined use. It's just layers of strangeness around it. And then when you add the fact that the building explodes, some months after delivery, it just really makes it a head scratcher.
Yeah. And the Mystic said, yeah, the person that gave that, what did she say? Whimsisms. She meant lavalier. So
yeah, that's what I figured. Autocorrect.
Let's see. I need to pull it up, but let me pull up my questions. But before, have you reviewed any of the videos from independent news about her drone theory and what is your opinion of the drone theory in general? That's for you, John.
I just don't see what a drone would do. Like when either drones are delivering like a device, you know, or a means to like destroy or kill, or they're gathering like information for where people can't be. It was a public event. Like you just send someone with a phone. Like you can get all the information. Like the strategic purpose of a drone is just beyond me. I just don't understand why you would risk a drone to do something that you could have a person do, or a device that's going to be directly on the target. You know, it just seems like a lot of possibilities of failure, of detection. It's just, I don't see the strategic angle on a drone.
Well, did some people say that they think a drone was had a round and like fired a round at Charlie? Is that what?
That's what I mean. I don't understand. I haven't heard anyone kind of explain what the purpose of the drones is. They just like talk about drones and show pictures of bugs that could be drones, or maybe they're bug drones. I don't know, but
well, there was definitely bugs there. There were
bugs everywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah, bugs there.
They have drones that look like bugs.
They do.
They don't have any drones that look like bugs that could cause anything that we saw. So it's like,
what would the purpose be then?
Yeah, all the bug drones are to collect like information. They're like spy drones. Like, why do you need to spy on a public event? Like you should have
people
that have a guy right there, like next to him, right? Yeah. So it's just like you have to think through the purpose of something to really like align it with the event. And maybe I'm missing something. I just don't see what strategic importance a drone could possibly have in an event like that.
Yeah, I guess so. Whimsisms actually was saying, sorry about that. Is the tech related to man, I don't want to say, when I say Philly, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The Philly Lavender AI tech that uses the phrase daddy's home to identify targets. I have no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah, I know what they mean. I think it's easier than that. Like there's no reason to really get more complicated than that. Like they knew they had a device that was easily accessible and that was going to be put near his vital organs. So it's like, it's just a perfect target opportunity. There's no need to really get any more complicated than that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not in his possession at all times.
No, he literally never sees it until they clip it onto him right before the event. Yeah.
Yeah. And the technology exists on a very similar type of electronic piece of equipment, like a pager. So proof of concept, and that was like 10, 12, I don't know now how many years ago when they actually created the technology and put them in. They were in circulation for 10 years before they were detonated.
The walkie-talkies were in use for 10 years. The pagers were like actually bought 3 to 4 years before they went off.
So the technology is probably even better now.
For sure, because the pagers were built on like old technology. They were having to like find special vendors that even made pagers. Like nobody used them anymore. I assume that's why they thought they were safe. They're like, oh, this is old tech. Like there's no way that this is like has listening devices on it or something. Yeah, they were probably scared of getting spied on. They probably had no idea that it could be used to like inflict harm or death.
Yeah, and so I agree. They're going to know that Charlie wears that mic every time. Sometimes, like only in the past, he hadn't worn it on the outside of the shirt in a while.
Yeah.
I think 2024 was the last time I saw him wear it on the outside of the shirt. All 2024 events in the beginning of the school year, because he had two campus event in the spring and in the fall. They didn't do it over the summer because it was out on summer break. And so in the spring, all of the videos I watched, it's on the inside, it's on the right side. And so they knew that they could use That's like the perfect, it really is like the perfect thing. And why not you don't want to overcomplicate things where there's more opportunity for failure, more opportunity for somebody to see, a piece of equipment, something being used. You want it to do the job, and you want it to be as simple as possible.
Yeah, and not have to depend on many actors.
Correct.
And it's like they really didn't need to depend on anyone other than the patsy to shoot the rifle for the cover. You know what I mean? Everything else was just kind of handled, could be like almost automated. So, the likelihood of failure was really low. As soon as they strapped that microphone onto him, like it was pretty much a done deal.
Yeah. And let's talk about that too for a second, because I had said to you, like, one of the only things that I'm not on the same page with you on, well, and it's not that I'm not, it's just that I don't have the expertise and knowledge to see what you see, to come to the conclusion that you've been able to come to so confidently, that a round was fired for sure. It went over the crowd, and it gets picked up on the different phones and the different, like, also, does the UVU speaker pick it up too? A microphone? Does it pick it up as well?
Oh, that I wasn't sure of it till I got the audio from that.
Oh, it confirmed it.
Dude, it's uncompressed audio, and there's four different microphones on that camera. And it's closer to the shot than the rest. So it gives me a delta. It gives me a delta to compare to the rest. And so it gave me all the data I need. Like I wouldn't be able to say it confidently with all the cell phone cameras close to Charlie, because there's too much noise, and they're
in
compressed. It's compressed audio, and then like the noise of the mock cone and the low frequency from underneath the tent, they all just like, it's just muddy waters. It's like all distortion, and they all go over each other. It wasn't until I was able to get the actual audio from the camera, not the audio that we hear. The audio that we hear from that camera, like the UVU official release, is the shotgun mic,
right?
And they had the gain turned up so loud on that, it's just distorting the whole time. Like it's garbage. But there's 3 other tracks that are captured on the microphones that are on the actual camera, and they're golden because the gain's not really high. They're uncompressed audio, so it's like 48 kHz, and it's so much further away from the tent and closer to the shot, so it gets a bigger delta between the mock cone passing by and the sound wave from the tent arriving to it. So it gave me all the data I needed to really like hone in on the fact that that there was, 3 audio events that were high energy. You had the mock cone that went over the crowd. You had the detonation frequency that came from underneath the tent, and then you had the muzzle blast, and that came after both of them, that kind of like flushed out over the crowd. And without that camera, like I wouldn't have been able to really hone in on it. It didn't pick up the frequency of the van as strong. It's there, but it's really weak because it's far away from the van, right? So
it's on that balcony.
And the van is just something that, like, to me, it's just it's circumstantial. Like it's not really like a key event, but all the things do line up for it to be probable that the bullet ended up in the back of that van. From the opening and closing of the van, the accessibility of the van, the objects that were in the back of the van could have concealed it. And then the person that actually was responsible for opening and closing the van, he reacted before anyone else. Like I scoped the entire crowd of people's reactions. Like a person has like 300 milliseconds it takes them from hearing something to react to it. And his reaction was faster than anyone else's. And I believe it's because the sound of the bullet hitting the ballistic gel startled him. Even though he knew what he was doing, maybe he didn't understand the full scope of why he was doing it.
Right.
But he was the first one to jump, and he was kind of like underneath the breezeway, almost past the van at that point.
Yeah.
So you line all that things up together. It's all those circumstances aligning make it plausible that it had something to do with it, but it's not absolutely important. But one thing that's undeniable is that a supersonic bullet swept over the crowd, and that it was fired a little bit further away than what they officially say. But that's kind of like we don't know exactly how fast the bullet was traveling. We don't have an example. We don't have a clear like model of ammunition that they were shooting.
Yeah.
So we can just look at examples that we have, but it's somewhere in between 127 meters to 154 meters is the distance that it was fired from. So.
Yeah, and like we were saying, before we went live when we were talking about it, because I was like, I have no ability to look at what you were able to look at and go like, yeah, that's for sure what that is. And then the sound of the bullet hitting the ballistic gel and like kind of like that whistle, that frequency that it gives off. Yeah, but that like, it's not as important to me. Like if that did happen, that's just one more thing. To me, what's the most important is that it wasn't a 30-06. It wasn't a round. It wasn't a bullet that hit Charlie. It's clearly something that's inside the mic. To me, it looks like the mic exploded and that pieces of the mic hit Charlie in the neck. That's what it looks like to me. And that's the most important thing to show that it wasn't Tyler Robinson and this stupid FedSlop narrative that we've been fed. And that once we can determine and agree that this is how he was killed, then we can start looking at who put that all together and then who was part of it. And that would lead us back to, I mean, hopefully the people that are involved, you know. And I remember you were like, you don't want it to be a bullet in the back of the van. You're like, I didn't want the van thing to be true. Like, that's not what I was looking to do, but it was hard to, overlook it or ignore it once you saw the data and once you saw what you saw.
Yeah, too. All the cameras that were close to it picked it up. So
that's the other part you said, right? That it actually had a cascading effect with the cameras that were further away.
Cub's video was closest to it. He picked it up super loud and only in one channel, which means that not only was it close to him, but it was like right to his left. Like he didn't pick it up in any of his right channel. And as you go around the crowd, they start to pick it up in both channels. So it kind of like you can triangulate where it is, and then the level of frequency, the decimal levels decrease as you get further from the van. So
steps down.
Yeah. So, it shows you that, it was a localized sound. It wasn't like a sound that swept over the crowd. It was a sound that originated from an area, and that area had to be closest to Cub, directly to his left. And I would have never believed it if it wasn't for people showing me these videos of these people, opening this van for no reason, the van hatch for no reason, and then closing it right afterwards. I mean, like nobody got anything out of the van. Nobody. It was just like they opened it. He walked around the side of it, and he jumps, and then he closes it.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain that unless, like, I guess you could like try to explain it by saying like, well, maybe he was trying to open it to get something, and then that happened, and then he freaked out and then shut it. But like that you're just speculating. Like,
and then earlier in the day, like when Charlie comes, like as he walks by the van, like somebody who's recording it, they like cover the back of the van up with their finger, like they're holding the camera perfect, and then all of a sudden when they come in view of the back of the van, they like hold their thumb up so you can't see what's in the back of the van, and then they close it real quick before Charlie gets around and can like have a view of what's in the back of the van. I was like, well, that's kind of weird, and then the van's like just like a bunch of like random Pelican cases and stuff. Like you can't make sense of what the seats are folded down, and there's just a bunch of stuff in the back of it. It doesn't make any sense. It just seems like it's just tossed in there. Like, and then another thing that I find suspicious is the first thing they do when the shots go off, they bring the barriers down and they like start calling people around the van. So it's like you have like the whole crowd passing around the van, touching it, hiding behind it. It just completely tainted it. You know what I mean? Like even if you were to be like, oh, that van's involved, it's useless because everybody in the crowd that on that side of the event basically passed by the van and had hands on it, were ducking behind it, So just like nobody's gonna look in the van and be like, oh, there's some ballistic gel in there, because it was just like a bunch of, like I said, Pelican cases, like AV equipment stacked up in there. You couldn't make sense of any of it. But if you did like want to nail down who was responsible or who touched it last, or you wouldn't be able to really prove anything because everyone was around it and touching it, and it just kind of like tainted it. It was tainted fruit at that point as far as evidence goes. But that's all just all speculation. I mean, they didn't really have nowhere else to run. But again, like none of that's really important. Like you can't get lost in the woods about it. Like you really have to just like the most important thing is that there's reasonable doubt that the official narrative that they're telling us is the truth. Like once we arrive at that conclusion, then like then you can go and try to find explanations for the next most relevant thing, for which is like, well, what did kill Charlie if Tyler Robinson didn't shoot him in the neck with 30-06? And you go backwards from there. Like, all right, what is the thing that actually caused the mortal wound? Like, what is the thing that caused Charlie to pass? Let's explain that. It doesn't matter who did it or how it happened. We just need to identify it. And then once we identify that, then we can go like, all right, well, how did that happen? And who was responsible for, you know, the chain of custody of that device? You know, you have to go down the line. So like, as soon as you try to like put it all together and explain everything, like you just get lost in it. It's very easy for, you know, naysayers to pick off the details that are exuberant or kind of like hard to believe. And it makes the whole, it's like the red herring. It makes the whole case kind of like fall apart for not believing the official narrative as soon as you start to get too deep in the details that you can't, that aren't really relevant, right? The only thing that matters is that we know that Charlie wasn't struck in the neck with 30-06. Like that's step one. Like as soon as we get past that, then, you know, that opens the doors for these other things. But, you know, to try to attach a story to every little detail that we see is kind of like, it's a wasted energy. We should really just focus on the most important fact that, you know, it wasn't a 30-06 shot by Tyler Robinson that killed Charlie.
Teresa, what up, man? I'm gonna hit your super chat in a second. I just saw you pop up. Have you heard? So one of the things when I was in like an X space, some people believe that he was shot, but not with a 30-06, either a handgun or a smaller caliber rifle from the, like, if I'm Charlie, obviously out there because the wound's over here, either in the crowd or just back a ways.
All the other shooter theories are all over the place. There's some think that the neck wound's an exit wound and he was shot from his right behind the breezeway.
Yeah.
But there's like little to no like clear line of sight. Like the line of sight doesn't make any sense. Like all the areas that they proposed that came from, like there's windows for one in that one area. Like you can't shoot through a window. And then there's like a breezeway, like a stairway, but it's too far in front of him. Like there's no way that he would be able to have an exit wound. And the biggest thing is like, where's the entry wound? Like they don't ever try to be like, oh, well, this is where you got hit for sure. Like here it is. There's been like a few tips like, oh, his hair moved a little bit right here. But if it's a strong enough like impact to cause, you know, exit wound like that, we would see a sort of like reaction. There would be some sort of blood splatter, like there would be some displacement, there would be something. And most importantly, there'd be an audio like kind of signature that's left from it. Even if it's subsonic, like there would be some noise that you would be able to kind of like point to that direction.
Especially from Cubs video, right? Because he's over that side where
Cubs and Mark's video, it would have gone right over their shoulders, and we just don't really see it. And then like people have taken like audio analysis that uses really good tools. The methodologies are good, but it's just they misplace like certain key things and they misidentify kind of acoustic phenomenon and use that as a means to kind of locate the shooter as being in the crowd. But if the shooter's in the crowd, it means they discharged a weapon like right around a bunch of people. Like,
are they saying that there's a silencer on it? Are they saying
no? They don't say anything. They just say the shot came from in the crowd right here because this is what my analysis says. But they just it's like key details, like they don't take into account that the mock cone is a moving frequency, right? The frequency off the mock cone is coming off the tip of the bullet as it travels, and so they treat it as like a stationary event. That all the sources of the sounds that they're analyzing are all stationary, and so it just gives you the biggest tell is that they'll use a angle or two. They're like, these two angles show it, where you really should have a consistency between all the angles, right? Because they all recorded the same event, right? They should all tell you the same story. So
that's a very good point, that like you should be willing to look at every single piece of audio and video from that day and analyze it, and it should be able to actually like shore up your theory.
Right. Every angle you add should add strength to
Your theory.
Your
It's just
theory.
capturing it from a different angle.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now the quality may not be as good, but
Correct.
the general data, especially the first arrival, like the first sound to arrive is going to be pretty consistently clean through all the cameras. It's the first one. It's before it needs distortion and everything else. So, you know, you should be able to take all 16 camera angles and they should be consistent. And I've actually taken other people's work. Like every person that does audio analysis, I straight steal all your data and I go and add it back into my my analysis, and it just builds upon it. Like every time someone tries to debunk something or claim something different, I take all their data because their data is usually good. It's their conclusion that's flawed because they just miss it. They just, I don't know what it is. It's just a lot of physics. There's a lot of things to take into account for. And I feel like my number that I came up with is the same number that the CNN, like a actual like professional, you know, acoustic forensic analysis that does ballistic forensics, his number and my number as far as the distance of the shot are exactly the same. So I'm like, all right, I feel pretty good with that. Like I'm not professional, but at least I came up with my number, and then someone showed me his data and it's exactly the same. So I'm like, well, at least I'm like pretty close, right? I'm in the ballpark. I have at least the basic philosophy of my analysis is correct for me to come to the same conclusion as he did.
Yeah. Let me hit this. Teresa, back in the fray after being gone for a couple months. Great to see your guys' faces and hear Candace's shout out to Jon. Yeah, I agree. I was stoked for him when I heard that, when I watched that show.
Yeah,
I was like, I reached out to him and I was like, I don't know if you heard or saw, dude. He's like, I'm working right now.
Bro, I was driving, and I'm like, you know, I drove like 2,800 miles in 3 days. And I'm sitting here driving, and my phone's just like, ba-da-ding, ba-da-ding, ba-da-ding. I'm like, what is going on? Like, who's blowing me up?
Yeah.
And I was in the weeds just trying to make sense of it all. Like, it's a big project that I'm doing. You know, it's like I wrote 2 patents in like 3 days.
Wow.
And filed them, got them filed, and I'd like, and that last week I'm like implementing them, like things like I'm able to work at speeds that are just like, I don't know. My mom says I'm in the prime of my life, but whatever. I think it's just God's grace shining on me. But yeah, I'm able to get things done at a rate that are just like beyond measure. But it's important things like these data centers. They're using all our water. They're using our energy, and this technology is going to get them off our water. And it's basically taking wasted CO2 that they create through burning natural gas and using it as a refrigerant and a fire suppressant. So it's a big deal, and it's already getting put into place and put to use. So it's exciting things, and that's what took me away for a while, and I'll probably be back at it again. But yeah, it's to have like Candace like come through, and you know, I knew she was coming around. It's like she's so strategic. I have to be patient. Like my brain wants to go to conclusion right away. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way my mind works. I just go right to the end of it, and I forget that people have to be like taken along for it. They have to come around to it. Like they have to build in their mind an understanding before you can take them right to the conclusion. Otherwise, you'll just lose them.
Actually, that's like so true.
She's done such a good job of just like spoon feeding people all this important information.
People, yes.
Yeah, and having them understand the like I don't do the people thing, right? I don't like I'm a technical mind. Like I don't understand people for the most part. But she did just such a good job of like building the understanding of the situation that Charlie found himself in. Yeah. Not only in his relations with these foreign nations, but with the people around him.
Yes.
And especially in his own home. And so now that we're come to this full conclusion at the end of it, it's like, oh, well, now I see how all that's possible. He was in a den of vipers. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just jump to where we are and explain it, because people would be like, well, no, people around them, they would never do that. You know, it took explaining all that. So, you know, every time I started to doubt Candace at all, and every time she would do something that would just like restore my hope and
Yeah.
my faith in it. And after the like second or third time of her doing that, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna question this woman. Like, obviously God is working through her, like the same way as God working through me. Like, I'm not forensic analysis. Like, I literally like was scrolling on my phone and I saw a video of Charlie getting shot and I was like, oh, that's fake, this AI slop. And I saw he really got shot and it really changed my life, like the trajectory of my life. Like, it changed my philosophy, like my connection with God. Like, I started going to church. I'm going to Eastern Orthodox Church. Like, I have an altar in my house. I pray 3-4 times a day. I fast 2 times a week. Like, it changed the trajectory of my life. It is just something, it was like opening a door and being blinded by this light and realizing that the world is full of dark deception. And if we just keep laying down for it and just turning a blind eye to it, it's going to consume us all. Like, we have to throw caution to the wind and understand if we're a martyr, but we have to stand up for the truth. And we have to, you know, call the liar a liar and name the evil people in this world. And don't let them just slide under the shadows and continue to hold their power over us. We have to be brave enough to just put ourselves out there. And I feel like, you know, we're just all part of God's plans.
Yeah.
You, me, everyone that goes out and puts their name out and takes their free time to do this, like, this is part of God's plan. God loves the truth. Like, he appreciates the people that realize this is a fallen world.
Yeah.
This world is not our treasure. Our treasures are going to be found in the afterlife. And it's the sacrifices we make in this life that ensure that we get those treasures. So don't be afraid of losing your livelihood or losing your life in this life, because it's a fallen life anyway. It's a life of suffering and pain, and we're all going to die. So work for the eternal treasures. Like, take the sacrifices, stand up for the good, like, you know, make your connection to God, get right within yourself, make the house in your head a holy place, and God will come and fill it, and he'll open doors for you. And like, this is everything you see behind me is a course of action of that. Like, everything that's happened since then is just God's hands working through someone who cleaned up his life. You know, I took the opportunity to change my trajectory and live a better life and take an account for my sins, repent for my sins, and God rewarded me from that. And I think we can all take examples of that and apply it to our lives, and you will get those fruits. They will come to you. You will feel better. You will sleep better, and everyone around you will benefit from it. It's something that's like, it multiplies. You know, it's not something that just benefits you. It's your kids, your family, your friends. Everyone benefits from it.
Yeah. I mean, super well said. I still was always a Christian. I think I had gotten complacent, you know. I wasn't doubting. I didn't stop believing. I hadn't stopped praying. But it just, what happened to Charlie, and watching it, it greatly impacted my life. And it changed me too, man. I don't want to try to get emotional talking about it, but yeah, I agree with everything you just said. If I keep talking about it, I'm going to get emotional, so I'm not going to.
But that's what a martyr does. You know, a martyr sacrifices his life to affect greater change in the people they doesn't know. They just see the actions of the martyr, and it affects them, and it changes the trajectory of the world. And you know, that's what we're witnessing now. That's what we're living through. So
yeah, I'm going to read the next one. This is called Think Tank. Okay, I saw the vid that tracked the mic clasp hitting his neck. A question. So obviously that's an older vid where we thought that the magnetic clasp hit the neck, right? That's like one of the very first videos that didn't get all the frames, and it seemed like that's what happened to the clasp. But
the clasp is the battery's underneath the clasp, so it's the same trajectory. So it's and that's a good question. Like, how do you get shot in the chest and not show any blood? It's pretty easy. Like, he you know, we see the action. We would have saw his body reaction and his shirt reaction, and he falls to the ground or gets tossed to the ground really pretty quick. There's really wasn't a whole lot of time for us to see the blood. Like, people would have passed right over it. Like, it would have been a no big deal type of thing. I don't even think anybody would have said anything about it. Like I said, if it wasn't for that neck wound and the grotesque bleeding that it caused, the whole operation would have been so believable as a 30-6 impact to the chest.
Well, and I think that could even be why Dan Flood pushed him. I think Dan noticed either he was always supposed to push him so that we just saw it just enough for the mind to go, got it, that's what that is, and then get it out of view. And then that's, they have him behind the tables with the cloth over it and you can't see anything.
No.
Or Dan noticed that's not what that was supposed to look like. Get down to get out all the view of all the videos.
Well, you see Cutler's the gun goes off. Yes. He's sitting there. And he's just all good until the blood shows up, and then you lose like,
yeah.
And then he's panicking and jumping. You know what I mean? It's like he was all good, no reaction, right until the blood.
He goes like this. Actually, he just goes, and then he freaks out. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's just so it's obvious that the reactions of an honest person that had no preconceived notion of what was going to go on, like some of the security. Like the guy that had the longer hair.
Yep.
He reacted immediately. Like he had a shot. He turned around. He was over the fence. He was one of the first people to get there to Charlie. Like he didn't know anything. He didn't have any pre-notion of what was going to go happen. But like Dan Flood.
Yeah. Or Brian Harple's even worse. Brian almost doesn't respond at all.
Yeah. He was just cool. So turns over like, all right, here we go.
And then runs. It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, with Frank, man, Frank bothers me. I mean, he somewhat has a real reaction hitting the deck, but then he has just lied so many times after that day that it makes I mean, I guess you can explain it that like, maybe he was threatened. Maybe he was bribed. Maybe it was both. Maybe he was compartmentalized and he was a need to know and he didn't think that was going to happen. And he was there to document the fake one. And then the real one happened. And now he's thinking he's protecting TPUSA. Like, I don't know. But I mean, he's done so much lying at this point that like, I don't trust that guy. That guy's bad news to me.
Yeah.
Bro, I found, so I'm doing on my own, doing deep dives into all these Calvary Chapel pastors, which is crazy because I grew up in Southern California. Calvary Chapel's big. I didn't always go to Calvary Chapels, but you would go to some. They're all around, Southern California surfing culture. It's just like pastors surf. We would surf together. We would go to church and then we'd go surfing. It was chill. They were some of the pastors were pretty laid back, but these big Calvary Chapel pastor, big name ones like Greg Laurie, Jack Hibbs, Frank Turk was a well-known apologetics within that kind of sphere. I didn't know about Rob McCoy. And then James Cadiz, I didn't know about him either, but I'm doing a lot of deep dives into these guys. Dude, I just found, I don't want to give it away. These guys, some of the things that they were saying before Charlie was dead about Philly and about Candace. Before, when we know that one of the most recent events where Charlie was questioned about Candace at the end, he didn't talk crap about her. He goes, Candace is at my wedding. I'm not going to do it. You're not going to get me to disavow her or, not be her friend. I'm not going to talk smack about her. I like Candace. We disagree on a couple things, but you know what? She's got fun ideas, But then these same pastors are on camera devoting hours of literally calling her demonic and trashing her when Charlie would never do that.
Yeah.
He never did that. He had the opportunity to do it and he never did. And I see more of the things that they're saying and doing. And it's like, man, they have no problem going, I'm 100% a Zionist. And if you're not, I hope that you become one. And it's like, oh, whoa. He's got in his church, he's got a picture of freaking Jerusalem on the back.
Yeah.
He's got a menorah on the back behind the pulpit. I mean, it's nuts. He was surrounded by these people.
Yeah. Well, they know how to get their hooks in you. You know what I mean? You see people when they take that influence, like it's a spell,
I played videos that show that James Cadiz particularly, but I bet it was some of the others as well. James Cadiz, Calvary Chapel pastor, was pressuring Charlie to marry Erica. You better marry Erica. You're an idiot if you don't marry her. She's going to bless. And he said before and after the assassination, Erica made Charlie and TPUSA better. Without Erica, the organization wouldn't have become what it did. And he was telling him, you better marry Erica before God takes the blinders off her eyes and she sees you for what you are, like you're some ugly, not good catch of a person. He said that on camera.
What?
bro, he said the craziest things. And this is a guy that's part of Proclaim Streetwear, which is her company, her BS company, and Bible in 365, which is her other Bible app company. And so, like, I mean, these are the people that came in the picture at around the time, whether it's before or just during the time Erica came in the picture. The timing's just insane when all these people came in and they were exerting tremendous amount of pressure. And I guarantee that his Jewish donors weren't the only ones sending him texts. I guarantee you Frank was, guarantee you Rob, Greg Laurie, Jack Hibbs, and James Cadiz. Because if you go watch their videos after the war in Iran and everything, they're all saying biblical prophecy that we need to be in Iran. They're tripling down. We need to be backing Philadelphia. BB's great.
Yeah.
Like, it's so gross.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant. Let me read this. Okay. Well, John, could it be also what was also attached to his belt?
He didn't have a belt on.
Yeah, he had an elastic waistband. It was like scrub, kind of like sweatpants, but I have a pair. I could even bring them out here. They're elastic at the ankles and at the waist. It's like jogger pants, athleisure wear. I think she's alluding to, I know some people believe that he had some sort of battery pack or something down below there. Remember when they carry him off, which, by the way, people that say there's not a lot of blood, go watch the video on X when they carry him off. I mean, there's blood. For people that say there's no blood, there's blood. You see it. It's all over his arm. It's all over his shirt when they're carrying him off. But when they lift him up and his shirt gets pulled up, he has this like burn, abrasion, or it could be a smudge of blood. I mean, it's hard to tell what that is in his lower left abdomen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it looks like a rash guard burn or something like that. Yeah, you get from
people
jiu-jitsu.
Tried to explain that like that's where a device was that was attached to either his body or his belt or his waistband, and then that's where the origination came from. But you can actually see when he's out throwing out hats, you can actually see his waistband. You see his tummy actually in one of them. He throws and his shirt comes up and you see his little dad belly down at the bottom, and you see his little elastic black waistband that's on his pants. He's not wearing anything down there. It's just like sweatpants elastic. That's on the McClintock photos. If you go look those up, guys, you can see them yourself. The McClintock photos, you'll see the one where he's throwing it, and you can see it. It's just they're like athleisure wear pants. What I have heard is that what was also attached on his belt, okay, he wasn't wearing a belt, but let's continue. His waistband blew up, and that it was why the shirt, you see it blown out, and you also see the back of Charlie's head enlarged. Philly is known to do it to their enemies. Well, I mean, I think it can be explained, like all the things that you say that you see in a video. John actually says we do see those things, but it's from the origination from the mic, and that the shirt getting blown out in the back, the shirt getting puffed up in the front, and Charlie's head being distorted, his skin and his neck, it leaves like almost shockwaves and like ripples and lines, and it's pushing his skin up, and it actually gives him a double chin for a second. I showed it in the beginning. I'm a little nervous to show it now. Just YouTube is getting crazy, but like if you go to Jon Aaron Bray on Instagram and X, he has them all, and you can see it, and you actually see the deformation of his hair gets like blown up, and you can see it, and then it comes back down afterwards. But I don't think, and also your pixel analysis showed that the origination of the energy source comes from over here, not from down here below, correct?
Yep. We have Charlie surrounded by cameras, so there's not a angle that you can't see it. And then Candace's video from the back, the first movement, you see gas coming out, from the front of his shirt, and then the shirt collar on the back goes.
It's like a little white puff of gas.
White puff of gas, yeah, exactly. It's just like more like distortion of the things that you're seeing through than anything else. But it happens right at the same frame that you see like the shirt collar on the back puff out. Yeah, so we have a gas distortion on the front, collar puffing out on the back, frames that follow it, necklace and microphone movement. So all that happens before the shirt moves anywhere below kind of like nipple level anywhere.
Right. And I mean, I would also recommend, there's parts of this that I think people maybe don't have the big picture, because also like maybe watch some of the old videos that Jon has either done on here or on another show. If he's talked about when you see where the necklace breaks, right? Because you can tell by the length of the overall chain. We know the length of that chain when it's intact, and then we can see the length of the chain that where it gets detached, right? And we know that it doesn't get detached all the way. It actually gets stuck and it gets pulled up here and it gets stuck on the collar on the inside of the shirt. But what you see is like this much of a chain. And that's about how much flies up over the head. And you do see a clasp, what looks to be a clasp, in my opinion, I agree, shoot away. And you can actually see the lobster clasp still intact, and it has like 2 right angle bends on each side of the clasp, which you wouldn't see in the normal part of the chain. It doesn't do that, only on because they get put together on each side of the clasp, the part and the lobster clasp, and you see that fly up over. Is about the length of where the RØDE mic, if when it did explode, shoots across. It just catastrophically destroys a chain in it, separates it, shoots it out, it flies, and then that chain flies up and over. I don't think that could be explained by a source down at the waist and then doing that and then shooting it out and up and over. Yeah, for me, I that would be hard for me to see. Do you have anything to add to that, or did I do okay?
No, you did awesome.
Okay. All right, let's see. The next one is just Sharice Click became a YouTube member. Thank you, Sharice Click. Welcome to the team. Let's see. Have we left anything out? Let me go back. I had another one. Okay, here we go. If Charlie was wearing the RØDE mic on his right side, if your theory is correct, then why does the shirt seem to puff up more pronounced on his left side, the same side where his neck wound is? And I know we've probably kind of already covered this, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's the circuit board. So the same force that sent the battery to impact his neck sent the circuit board across. So, you have, the mic dink catches the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the same action, the same path that would impact the neck here. The circuit board was just far enough in front that it just catches the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other one that my buddy sent that I want to make sure I read is, how do you explain the blast from the shape charge having the force to break a thick metal chain, yet only cause the wound we saw on Charlie?
We don't know what wound was caused on the chest. So we can assume that if it was strong enough to snap a chain, that it was probably strong enough to penetrate the flesh on his chest, but we never see that area of his chest. The wound on his neck is from the shrapnel. Yeah, the shrapnel, the expansion of the case kind of turning the circuit board and the battery into shrapnel. And we know for a fact that, there was something that traveled in this direction enough to raise his shirt up. So the same exact trajectory would cause the neck wound too, and they time up perfectly. So you kind of like use basic trajectory, energetic expansion, and just good old logic. You can kind of come to the conclusion that the battery's connected to the circuit board. Circuit board definitely raised the shirt up. The battery is probably the most likely subject or, object that impacted his neck, especially considering it's the same size of the wound and we see it fall out shortly thereafter.
Yeah. And I think too, like the shape charge explosion is enough force to break the chain. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's you called it like a mild or moderate velocity wound, it's not a high velocity wound, because the circuit board and the battery that's attached to it is not being pushed into him at that point at the same velocity at which the initial blast is going off and breaking the chain.
It's a secondary action.
Correct.
The circuit board and the battery are secondary actions. The necklace breaking and whatever wound happened underneath the necklace is the primary action.
Yeah. And I think that's all the ones that people sent to me. I thought I actually had, wait, there it is. I thought I had more, but it doesn't. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. It was somebody. I read that one. Hold on, guys. Let me get to, here we go. Let's see. Okay. If the shape, charge, sound would radiate to the right because of the trajectory to the left, because there is 4 witnesses so far in the news reports that this person found, and separate witnesses' statements, I guess, that talk about trajectory to the left.
Witnesses. Yeah.
Yeah. This person is just curious about the sound because they had a quote unquote shooter in the center that would cause a center sound and echo through the courtyard, but the sound was on the right side. Would it cause the sound closer to Charlie on the right?
Yeah, the just like the shape charge directs its energy very directional,
Yeah.
the acoustics from it are pretty directional also. You would hear it from everywhere, but it would be much louder to the people that are kind of like off axis of it because the sound, Charlie would be like deadening the sound, obviously, because it's the main force is towards him. But whichever angle that the charge would take as it went off, that acute angle would have more sound going towards it than others. Cubs video picks up the biggest peak of sound, but and he was directly to Charlie's right, but it's distorted because the Mach cone basically like maxes out the SPL level of the microphone, so it's clipping from the Mach cone when the detonation goes off because they were so close to each other, really less than 30 milliseconds apart, somewhere between 5 and 30 milliseconds apart of the Mach cone arriving and the detonation going off. So they were really tight. So the sounds kind of like overlap with each other, which I think goes to another question. Like the rifle, the rifle sound served 2 functions, and that it provided cover for the explanation of the event, of the energy we saw.
Yeah.
And it also provides a perfect acoustic cover, because if you go and look at the videos of the Philly event in Lebanon, it sounds like a rifle shot. When you see it, when the videos of that going off, there's a few different camera angles from like a grocery store, and a guy like checking out at a cashier, and then like they have a party or it's a funeral at the funeral for the next door the next day when the walkie-talkies go off, and it sounds like a rifle shot. Like if you look at it on the spectrograph, like it has a sharper peak and it's a little bit flatter, but it's along the same frequency. So, it's the perfect cover for it. They know people are going to be recording it. So if your explanation already sounds a lot like it, and then it ties you to Apache too, it's just a really tight package. So I think that was kind of like the plan, that a rifle provides an explanation for the event and also a perfect acoustic cover to hide the frequency of it in any recordings of the event.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hate it when this happens. I like had a thing to say, and then then I'm listening to you like fully, and then I totally lose it. Let's see. If you guys have any more questions, please get them in before it's too late. Let's see. I already know. Well, I mean, maybe some people don't know. Okay. I think we kind of did this, but so the evolution of your theory in a nutshell, could you go through it of like where you started and then how you progressed over the time and then where you ended up?
All right. So my initial impression was that he had body armor on, and that it was like an edge shot, and the soft armor or plate deflected the bullet and that impacted his neck. Didn't take me long to figure out he didn't have any armor on. And then I had to code to try to figure out where the bullet hit the soft armor. I started to run that. It started to show me the area around under his microphone. So then I identified what that black square was. It was a magnetic clasp to a microphone. I misidentified the microphone at first. It was a wrong brand. And then I thought he had a earpiece on, and that was the necklace I misidentified as like a wired earpiece.
Yeah, I think we all did.
And then after I figured out that he didn't, kind of like the body armor, he didn't have an earpiece on that day. I was left with the conclusion that was his necklace. And then I realized that the necklace snapped around the area of the microphone too. So now my pixel maps were giving me a tangible area that tied to an actual tangible object that snapped and was like energetically launched off his body. So that left me with like, all right, well, what has that sort of energy that can break a metal chain and then launch it over his body too fast enough that, you know, a camera can barely. And then the whole Lebanon event popped in my head. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I honed in on what the device was. 'Cause I want to know how big it was. Ideally, I wanted to see how big the battery was. I thought it was something in the battery at first. Then I found the device, and I found some videos of people taking not the exact microphone he had, but similar, the Rode Go, which is like the cheaper model. There's a bunch of videos of people replacing the batteries on them. So I saw how easy the battery was to replace. So I was like, oh, well, someone could definitely like swap a hot battery for it. But then I actually bought the actual microphone, and then videos of the magnetic clasp still attached came out. My initial impression was that the magnetic clasp struck his neck. Yeah. When I saw the UVU video that was released unblurred, you could still see the microphone clasp on. So I knew that it wasn't a microphone clasp anymore, obviously. But by then I had received the microphone I purchased, and I opened it up and I realized the battery was the exact same shape as the microphone clasp, and that the circuit board was blue, and the shirt collar, I thought that the cross pendant caused his shirt collar to raise up because you could see a little bit of like a grayish blue thing poke out from it. But as soon as my eyes set on that blue solder mask on the actual microphone that he was wearing, I knew that it was the circuit board. And then when I saw the battery was the exact same shape as the magnetic clasp, which I misidentified as the object that struck his neck, then it all came together for me. I knew that the internals of the microphone were launched across his chest. The circuit board caught in his shirt, raised it up. The battery struck his neck and then fell out shortly thereafter. And that the battery didn't need to be the explosive kind of like device, because there was so much room in the microphone case. Yeah, they could have put a completely separate device in there. They didn't need to like lace the battery up like they did with the pagers. So that kind of got to me to where I was, the whole acoustic thing of, you know, figuring that the shot actually took place, which I always assumed that there was an actual shot that took place, just because of the Butler PA event, so many people poured over the audio of it that they would know that people were going to do the same thing. And so the best way to really sell the narrative is to actually have the bullet go past Charlie or near Charlie, and then everyone that looks at the audio would have a hard time, you know, finding fault in it. And then, you know, the detonation kind of signature was hidden very well by design. All the cameras that were close to Charlie, the mock cone passing by kind of blended in with the detonation under the tent. But when I had got the audio from the UVU camera, which is like 54 meters away from the tent, there's a big enough delta that the mock cone passes by and the sound from the tent arrives later. So I could clearly identify it. And I knew where that camera was, so I could triangulate. The one thing we know is how fast sound travels. We don't know for sure how fast the bullet was travel. We don't know exactly what model bullet it was. But we know how fast sound travels at the temperatures of that day at that altitude. So I was able to do the math on that because I knew the positioning and time it all together. And that's really what gave me the audio evidence that there was a detonation under the tent. The visual evidence was there from the get-go, right? We saw the shirt moving, we saw the effects of the shrapnel from it, but the audio evidence kind of tied in the last piece that, you know, I could really time it, and it falls within the time, the latency it would take the microphone to pick up the mock cone, to process it and send it to a detonator and send it off. That's about the time difference we see between the mock cone arriving and the detonation going off. So as far as like the mechanics of the explosion, it all kind of worked out too. So, you know, that's kind of like where we got out, where I was, the gifts, Candace showing the video from the back, being able to see kind of the puff of smoke come out the front of his collar, the necklace trajectory from another angle, and then the pictures of the SUV, the fragments from the bottom of the SUV. That was huge. They tied in. We could see fragments coming off of Charlie. So, you know, that was better, but we're seeing like a frame or two of a black speck flying away. Like it's not as definitive as pictures of the SUV that took Charlie to the hospital with these black fragments of shiny glass with beveled edge, black glass with beveled edge on it with text on it, right? So getting those and then taking the same exact microphone brand and model that Charlie wore that day and shattering the face of it and putting it on black automobile carpet, it was pretty definitive. I mean, that's you can't deny it. There's not many other things that you could, you know, create such an effect. It's a very unique substance. It's a very unique kind of way that splinters and breaks.
Yeah.
And there's just no good way to explain why it's all over the floor of the SUV.
Yeah. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a good way. Yeah. Thank you for answering that. Let's see. Thank you, Matt. Just wanted that clarified. Thank you both, my brothers in Christ. Great job you do, Jon. Yeah, he does. Yeah. And I think Mystic, if you're here, will you throw up his in the chat his link to his like Instagram and his X and his YouTube to direct people to, and then I can even pull up his YouTube here in a minute and I'll show it on here to direct people over to his YouTube as well. One of the things that I wanted to point out and also if you guys want to know more about Jon, watch some of the other shows that he's done. Every content creator that interviews him asks different questions. And I learned a lot of things from watching him on Stu Peters from his 4 months ago and 5 months ago interviews that he did with Stu. One of the things, you recreated the wound, right? You used, you were already growing this certain thing and you then wrapped it in pork. Explain that.
So one of the patents I'm working on is to replace battery separators. So the reason you see these Chinese batteries explode. But anyway, I make fermented beverages. Part of the byproduct of these fermented beverages is what they call a SCOBY, which is a bacteria cellulose, which is like, it feels like human skin. It's an analog for human skin. People practice tattooing on it. They use it to practice surgery. It's the closest thing to human skin that you can get. So using pig cadavers is the best way to replicate like a flesh on a human. And so I basically took some pig meat and wrapped it in this bacteria cellulose so I could get the flesh of a human with the actual skin of a human over it. And I took my general approximation of the speed that the battery was launched at, and I found a hunting slingshot that launched things that are around that same speed, and I've just started firing it off into there. I was thinking that it would be like a rare occurrence that the object would strike at its face, like the rectangle face, and leave like a rectangle, but it was actually a good portion of the time it struck that way, and it leaves a rectangle wound. It penetrates about 3 centimeters deep, and if you kind of agitate it or move it around, it flops out. So it's like all the weird characteristics that we saw the wound, like we see in that. Since then, I made like a ballistic gel dummy on it, but I've come to find out the ballistic gel is like a poor analog to human flesh. It's like you can take a knife and you can't even stab this stuff. Like it just bounces off. And so I've wrapped it in cellulose a few times and tried to get the penetration, but I just hadn't got the consistency of the ballistic gel right. It comes at like 10%, 5%. And I need to get it to like where the moisture level is like way high. Like it needs like a 12, 15%. And this isn't documented in like FBI kind of protocols for them to replicate like a neck wound. They like 20% ballistic gel or the moisture has to be a lot higher. So at 10%, a 5%, they want like a 2%, which is like, you have to add like 20% water to it. And I just haven't been able to get it to mix right. I don't know if I don't have the right ballistic gel or what, but I'm still working on that. I had to shelf the recreating the explosive device because surprisingly it's highly illegal. I could get myself, not only could I cause irreparable harm to myself very easily, right? It's a dangerous material. It's really illegal just to even move it to, you could technically you can make it, but as soon as you like move it from the place that you made it from, you're like breaking all sorts of laws. So
Really?
the legality was beyond my understanding. So it just became apparent that it was probably better for me to leave that one alone. I'm still hoping that one of like these high speed camera guys on YouTube that expose things all the time will come around, and I've reached out to him and I've tried to get him to get on board with it. But hopefully now that Candace is pushing it, we can get one of these people, because man, what great content. Like you just let's load one of these microphones up with a little charge and see what happens. You know what I mean? There's only one way to find out, and that's to do it. They've blown up plenty of other things.
It'd be like the nail in the coffin to the official Fed slop narrative and other alternative narratives.
Yeah, and I imagine that's why I've had difficulty. I've reached out to people that actually like handle these type of devices are used in oil and gas, and it's like they've been all on board, and then they must like check around, and they're like, I can't.
Yeah, I'm not getting into
I can't do that.
Don't drag me in. People getting doxxed, people getting threats.
Yeah, nah, I don't think I'll ever be able to work again if I do that. No, I'm not gonna do that.
How do you think people explain the shirt behavior and the necklace behavior with cavitation from a round?
I don't, because they look at ballistic gel, the way ballistic gel like balloons up when it gets hit. But man, just look at the dummy when they put it down. Does any person move like that? Like, you know what I mean? It's just it has no, and even the manufacturers of the ballistic gel, they tell you it's not like an analog for
humans. No, it's not a one-to-one.
It's giving you an idea of penetration and the cavity that it'll create. Like outside of that, it has little to no use of like replicating impact to a human. That's why they use pig cadavers for that's pretty as close as you get. Their skin and their density and their flesh is pretty close to ours. So you know, when they're testing weapons and they want to see how deadly it is, they take a bunch of pigs and they just blow them up. You know, that's what they do.
Well, and like with all the different videos that we've seen, we didn't see any real cavitation in the neck enough to snap the necklace.
Right, and it's on the wrong side. You know what I mean? Like if the necklace snapped on the same side that the supposed impact happened, maybe I can understand it. But it's the opposite side. The energy is like all wrong. Like it's just it takes mental gymnastics.
I agree. Yeah, let's see. We got this one. Data needs to be laid out in one video.
I'm doing this. I'm going to make a comprehensive video from beginning to end, and I'm not depending on it. I have a website, followtheepicenter.com.
That's true.
I'm going to upload the whole video unedited, showing you everything I got. Because there's things I've never shown anyone, because it would get even on X, it would just get hammered, right?
Oh, wow.
So I've had a few strikes on X. I don't want to push my luck.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had some close calls. So all that, I'm going to make a video and just take it from beginning to end and show everything and upload on my website, because I can't do nothing to my website. I don't think GoDaddy's going to pull the rug on me. I mean, I'm like 12 terabytes of downloaded data now from my website. So they haven't shut me down yet. So I think they'll let me get by with it. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be an issue. And then any of the details, forensic data, the pipeline, the code, my source files, my source videos, it's all on the website. Like I've gone all out on this. I've really gone OCD on it. But yeah, follow the epicenter.com. If you have any questions, they've probably been answered on there. You just have to navigate it. It's a lot of information. It's pretty technical, but if you take your time and read through it, you could probably find what you want to know on it.
So this is Jon's YouTube, Jon Bray on YouTube. So make sure to head over there. You're not going to be able to see all of his work on there because it's YouTube. So I'll even pull up his X, but I might need to be careful if any of your top videos are showing anything. I gotta see.
I think that the one I have pinned is blurred.
It's blurry.
And then the one
I can get it to where I can get it to where it's not showing it. Let's see. I'll go fast. I'm gonna go fast.
Yeah.
All right. So here's Jon Bray on X as well, and then
Instagram. Instagram's good to me, surprisingly. I hadn't had but 1 or 2 videos taken off of Instagram. They let me kind of do my thing on there. So
I don't have a TikTok. Do you have a TikTok?
No, God no.
I wouldn't be on there.
Yeah, I'm good on that. But the website's the best place. That's why I'm free to do whatever I want. So I can
follow the epicenter, and then it says epicenter forensic analysis of the UVU incident.
Yep.
All right, hold on, I got you. It's not going to show anything, right?
Nah, it's all like it's highly technical.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys want to head over there as well, not right now, wait till we're done. But
yeah.
And then I'll make sure to post links to everything too. I bet Mystic has already put it in the chat, but if not, I'll also put them on my page and make them available to everyone. Let me read this one. We got Zamit. What up, Zamit? I like Zamit's name, Zamit. Great show. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Zamit. You're awesome. And then we got Kevin Bodman, the Wi-Fi symbol.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yep. I would show you, but I've smashed my face. It's confetti, so I can't.
Unrecognizable.
I have pictures, so I would have to reference those, but I think it does say Wi-Fi. I think the power is one like PW R or something along that lines, and then PRW. I'm dyslexic. And then the other one I do think it says Wi-Fi.
Well, and she showed too, it has the Bluetooth symbol, right? That like trident looking symbol, right?
She showed the wrong microphone face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Details, man. You gotta have that tism.
It's in the detail. Kevin Bodman. I don't know if you meant to write something. Sometimes it does that, and then you sent it without writing anything, or just thank you for the super chat donation. Okay, I don't know if you're going to be allowed to answer this. Have you spoken? Are you going on Candace? Have you spoken to Candace? Has she reached out to you?
We DM. It would be an honor, but I'm not expecting anything from Candace.
Okay. All right.
She's the GOAT. She's done more. She's done so much for me already. Like she doesn't owe me a thing.
Yeah.
But I love you, Candace. Congratulations, by the way.
For being pregnant?
Oh yeah.
She's the prego.
You gotta everybody should have family. I'm gonna get my vasectomy reversed. I'm 43, but I think I can have another kid. She's inspired me. Candace, you've inspired me. I'm gonna go to try to have another kid.
Well, Baron's got 8, and Zach is on his like 5th or 6th. Zach
I got 3. I'm blagging. I'm lagging.
Well,
God says to be fruitful. Yeah. I need to be more fruitful. I'm not scared. I feel good. 43.
I'm a little nervous. Me and my wife, we had twins, and we'd have every time we have the possibility of having a multiple birth, like even more so each time. And so like we could go from 2 children to 5 overnight. Which I mean, once you're trial by fire, like we were 4 weeks married and we got pregnant with twins. I mean, if we could do that, we were still in college. We lived in like a 700 square foot 1-bedroom apartment in Rancho Cucamonga. If we could get through that, I think we could get through anything. God is good. God will provide always. If he provides for the birds of the field or the birds of the air and the grass of the field, how much more will he provide for you?
God bless.
100%. I think that's everything. We're at 3 hours, and I know you're also Central Time. I'm going to be respectful of your time. Do you have anything you would like to end on before we say goodbye?
No, just I feel like we've covered it all.
We did. Yeah. It was a very good show.
Yeah.
So, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Love you, brother.
Thank you so much. Love you too, man. I'll be in touch. All right.
All right. Talk to you.
All right. Bye. All right, you guys. What a good show. Jon Bray's so good. What a good man. If I didn't leave this up long enough, let me put this back up. This is follow the epicenter. This is his website. Okay. Let's see. I can even go back to show you what it looks like when you just type it in. and it just will look like this. So, and then it's the top one. So when you type in follow the epicenter, and then it's just epicenter forensic analysis of UVU incident. All right. And then his X and his YouTube is just Jon Bray. And then I have to look on, I don't think I have my Instagram linked to my computer. It's on my phone. I have to look and see what that one is. And I bet Mystic is the best too. And I'm pretty sure she put that in there already. Hopefully, Crystal, you saw that I asked if he's going on Candace. As of right now, it looks like it's not been asked of him. So, but he said he'd be 100% down anytime, but he doesn't expect anything or want anything. She's already done the most for him, and he's very appreciative. Let's see. Okay, I got that. The live chat stalled out for minutes. Interesting. Meaning, like, wait, you guys couldn't see me and John speaking? Or the live chat? Mystic, can you text me and clarify that? So the live chat just stopped moving? And, like, it wouldn't put your guys' comments in there? That's crazy. I wonder what it could be. Thanks both for the show. Can't wait to catch up. Thank you, Zebra Z. Well, we know they don't like information getting out. And, oh, it did glitch twice? That's crazy. The chat. That's nuts. Coach said he was getting spammed the other day too when he started talking about this stuff. Things were going weird. I also know, I'm almost positive. So when Barron and Ian Carroll showed Rob McCoy's sermon from back in like September, October timeframe, and they were showing it live. I can't remember which one it happened to live, but they pulled it live. Okay. And then I think Barron maybe was able to find it maybe on Apple or somewhere else. And then he played it. Maybe that's how it went down. Maybe it happened on Ian's. I think it happened on Ian Carroll's live. And then Barron was like, and then he found another way to show it. So after Candace showed that clip, I found it and I was watching it, not on my live, just on YouTube. I was watching it and they freaking pulled it while I'm watching it. And then I go to my YouTube history and it shows it there and I click on it and it disappeared. And I was like, what the actual heck? And it's not at his home church. He was in some church in Vegas. But yeah, they're definitely paying attention to all of us, you know? So I don't doubt that people are messing with people's channels when they talk about certain things, when they cover certain things. I didn't show anything gory. I did show a portion of one of the videos that John had sent me. Hopefully it doesn't ding the video. We'll see. We'll see after I upload it. Also, if you guys could do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, can you just hit the like and the subscribe? It's the best way to help support the channel. And then after the video posts, if you can just write a comment and hype the video. Those are 3 ways to help support the channel for free. And those are the best ways. You like, subscribe, comment on the video, and hit the hype points. All free ways to support the channel, and they actually help a lot. They really do. I mean it. Also, I was really excited for this interview with Jon Bray. It was really good that he got to come on because he's about to probably go on a lot of people's channels. I know he's planned to go on some other bigger shows, and maybe he'll get to go on Candace. That'd be really cool. But I actually have an amazing show planned for tomorrow. I have some really like damning videos of Erica, James Cadiz, and even one with Charlie and Erica as well. That I have a lot of videos that my wife and I had found she's been doing a lot more behind the scenes, and she's been a blessing to me. She's the one that found that video. I think you guys know that amazing interview of Charlie at the 10X conference with what's his name, Grant Cardone. But she also found some other ones, and then I found a crazy one of James, which is James before Charlie. Oh no, I just ruined my contact. I'm gonna have to. Hopefully it's not on my cheek. Everything's blurry. All right, hopefully it fixed it. Of James Kitties. So tomorrow's going to be an amazing show. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be. I think it'll be back at 7. That's been a better time for the channel. It makes it a little bit later night for me, but it seems that more people are able to show up from the 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time start time. So that's probably when it'll be, but you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be crazy. So yeah. And if you guys want to help support the channel, but you don't want to give money through YouTube, you can also donate and support the channel through the Blackline Brief Venmo account. You just scan the QR code and donate and support that way. Just make sure to write a note or a memo as to what you would like your support to go to. Or you could do it here at buymeacoffee.com/the Blackline Brief. This is also where people can just gift to me and the family if that's what you want to do. It's whatever you guys want. And so you just write what you want it to go to. Like I remember someone donated money and was like, take your wife out for dinner. And that was like really nice. So but no one has to donate anything. You don't have to give money or donate anything. Just showing up, participating in the chat. Some people don't participate in the chat. That's fine. You don't have to. You get a lot more out of the community when you do so. And this is one of the best communities, if not the best community on YouTube. Although most of this community is like in other communities. And so much of the communities are similar. Like Baron, Candace, Zach, Coach here, all great people. And so, yeah, the other way, yeah, if you don't want to donate, you don't have to. You just show up, hit the like, hit the subscribe, write a comment on the video and hype the video for free. That's all I ask. Yeah. And you don't even have to do all those. But if you do, it's a blessing. And thank you so much for doing so. I love all of it. All right. People are saying we got hacked. I mean, did you guys ever see when like Ian Carroll was doing stuff and he was getting like spam? He got total hacked on YouTube before. So hopefully it wasn't that bad. But anyway, all right. God bless you guys. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. I love all of you guys. God bless you guys so much. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Oh, wait. I need to look at the poll. Let's look at the poll. I had wrote the poll in the beginning and I forgot that it was there. Let me hit refresh and let me end the poll and then let's look at the poll results together. All righty. End poll. Okay. The poll results say 95% believe it was the shape charge exploding RØDE mic that was the cause of Charlie Kirk's death. 3% say electrocution. 1% say the palm pistol. And 1% say 30-06. All righty. Well, thank you guys so much for participating in that as well. It's a good way to gauge where the community is on everything. So I think that's it. Did I get to no supers came in when I wasn't looking? All right, we're all caught up. All right, love you guys. God bless you guys. Have a great night. I'll see you guys back. See you guys back here tomorrow. Bye.